this evening. The first item on the agenda is a presentation of the Fairhope Junior City Council Annual Project.
Hi.
Evening.
Good afternoon, y'all. We're here on behalf of the Junior City Council. I'm the president, Camille Hassman, and this is our secretary, Bethany. And we want to request approval to host a community pickleball tournament here in Fairhope, where all of the proceeds are going to be donated to Fairhope's Rotary Club. This event, it would be a positive, family-friendly opportunity for all of the Fairhope residents to join together while also supporting a organization that has like a long history of service and impact in our community.
Our goal is to promote the civic engagement and healthy activity within our community, and while also giving back to a local organization that already does so much for our community and aligns with a lot of Fairhope's values. Junior City Council is committed to working closely with everyone involved, including the city departments that we would be interacting with to get this done, to ensure that this event is organized, safe, and especially family-friendly for everyone. And we appreciate your consideration for our project, and we thank you for the continued support for this program.
We have like a little flyer that I made for y'all, and it has like a description, and it has our objectives and the way we would do it, as well as our budget and our timeline for the event.
Have that?
Would love to see it.
I think it should be up there.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I saw that sitting up here. I didn't realize that was it.
So Jimmy and I actually have a pretty good history in pickleball fundraisers.
All right.
Absolutely got clapped in our first year. We went 0-4, and then second year, I'm claiming championship. They put an A bracket team in the B bracket, and we lost to them in the championship game. So technically, B bracket champions. We both nearly had a stroke that day, but we finished.
Well, maybe you two can join the pickleball.
Hey,
Good at that?
it's-
Okay, so Saturday, April the 4th,
Yes.
proposed date. When is the mayor's?
27th of March.
27th of March, okay, so the week before. All right. I guess y'all have already checked that date, and make sure there's not any kind of major, y'all don't have spring break or anything like that week?
There shouldn't be.
Okay. Cool, well, council, I think it looks like a great proposal to me. Council,
did a
any
great
questions or
job.
comments?
Very good
I
job.
think it's a great idea. I think it's a great opportunity.
Brings families together.
Just have a nice little event, something for you guys to help put on. I know you guys already do a lot, and we appreciate it, but nice little opportunity for a fundraiser, and it's always a good time out there. Quail Creek does a great job.
I know it's a junior city
Will
council.
this be
we
at
need
Quail, or
to-
will this be at the Mike Ford?
Ford.
Okay.
But we need
So we're different then.
we need to offer, court rentals for free, obviously, if it's spent off of us. What all do we need to do to make that official?
I think we probably need, I was going to ask, are the funds going to ultimately to the Rotary Youth Club through the Rotary Club?
Yes.
Okay, so I think you might say in exchange for, the benefits that the Rotary Club provides the community, the Rotary Youth Club provides the community, you have to enter into maybe a little
Contract.
contract with that to give them the use of the facilities, right?
I think there's
Marcus, so
a
there's a little bit of-
resolution allowing them to do it, and then we can work out the specifics, and that would be on the next agenda. Is that what you said, Lisa? Yeah.
You could even approve tonight to enter into the agreement.
But it could go straight to the Rotary Youth Club without going through the Rotary Club. Because they're a 501c3
It's on the
too.
agenda,
Yeah.
item 22 for,
That might be cleaner.
Yeah, it'd probably be an easier way to do it, is to have it go straight to the Rotary Youth Club, since they're a 501c3 too.
any questions, council?
Is this the first time that y'all have done this?
Yes, ma'am. Last year, we painted benches for the nature preserve. for the
Okay, good
like
job,
nature
great.
preserve. So
I like this one. This is good. You might become something that y'all repeat.
thank you.
I checked agree.
Thank you.
All right, excellent.
I did too.
Anyone else from
I saw that.
Rotary Youth Club have any comment on that, or anything about y'all's process to, where did y'all decide ultimately to land on pickleball tournament?
I just figured that it would be something that would be fun for everybody, and it would benefit more so than just something that you can look at. It'd be something where their funds could go to something.
Like it. Thank you.
Well, thank you, future leaders.
Yes,
Thank
thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you,
Appreciate
guys.
y'all. All right. Next item up for discussion is the wastewater treatment plant utility.
Thank y'all for having us. I'm Caleb Leach with Krebs Engineering. I've got Mark Smith and Rob Vaughn here as well. We're going to go through the Phase 2 wastewater treatment plant improvements. To get started, just to give you a background, so we started looking at this in 2023. At about that time, there was some thought that the city might need a new greenfield wastewater treatment plant. What we mean by greenfield is a second plant at another location. And at that time, the Headworks improvements projects were coming out in an RFQ, so we submitted on that, and as part of that RFQ, we offered to do a master plan. So that master plan, we worked on it, we developed it, it's still in draft form, and what's decided with this presentation, we'll finalize it, stamp it, and submit it. I guess back in October or so, the RFQ came out for the Phase 2 wastewater treatment plant improvements. We submitted on that because of the ongoing discussions with wastewater service area, more discussions with your operators and staff. We developed 2 additional plans along with a master plan as part of our RFQ process. We were selected as to proceed with Phase 2 as part of that RFQ process. And so where we're at now is we're going to just step through what those improvements are. The primary issues you have, if you just look on the left-hand side there, the site is tight. It's extremely tight site. You have a need for some additional treatment capacity. Also, all of your current treatment systems lack redundancy, and we'll go into that a little bit more as we move through. A lot of aging, inefficient equipment. We'll talk more about that in a little more detail. The way the existing facility is laid out is not really allowing for a future expansion. And again, other issues, you've got too much equipment, high O&M cost, and you've got odors and noises. So here's an overview of what these improvements, a conceptual site plan of what these improvements will look like. We're going to step through these one by one. And obviously, if you have any questions, please stop and ask.
Yeah, is there any good news?
Yes, we'll get to the good news.
And a more serious question, the size, I have no idea, wastewater treatment plants, what is a typical size and what's our comparison? Are we half the size of a typical one, 3/4?
It's all based
third?
on flow and population.
Uh-huh.
So currently, what we would call average daily flow is around 2.2 MGD.
Okay.
Your peaks get up around 10 MGD, so your peak flows will occur during a storm event. As far as, if you want a comparison to, as far as Alabama, you're probably right in the middle of the road as far as your size treatment. I mean, there are some 100 MGD plants, and there are some, 100,000 gallon plants. So yeah, that's really where you're
But
at.
for the physical footprint, you said that it was a small physical space, right, for this
Yeah,
plant?
that's right. So I'm trying to think what that size is, maybe 4 acres right there.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, the site is workable. Obviously, that's what we saw when we submitted the idea to do the master plan and see what we could do here. But it is, the way it's laid out currently makes it hard, it's tight.
Hard to work with.
Hard to work with, that's correct.
Caleb, would you mind if we back up and make sure they know about the Headworks project? Because you're
Yeah.
going back to that. Okay,
Yeah, that's where we're
perfect.
at. So as part of the Headworks that I mentioned, we submitted on the RFQ, again, this was a system that had no redundancy. You could not bypass it. And it's difficult to maintain. It's old technology. It causes a lot of odors. Not to get too much in the weeds, but you're aerating that. So anytime you have wastewater coming in, fresh stream, and you hit it with air, it's going to off gas. It's going to smell. And you can, if you look closely on the concrete, on the very bottom of that picture, we talk about grease removal. That's where grease splatters when the operators are trying to clean out that grease trough there. And it's just an old design. We don't see this anymore. In fact, the equipment's no longer supported. So what we did is, and this is a construction photo, this project will finish up spring of this year. We did a vortex grit removal system. It's somewhat of a passive system. There's a small mixer there, but if you think about think about a toilet flushing, so it's going to take that grit, it's going to push it out, and it's going to settle out, and we're going to pump it to your digester. So you have, and you only had one screen. So if you think about stuff comes into your wastewater plant, you want to get the screenings out, so any kind of solids. You only had one of those, and so with this project, we're giving you redundancy. You'll have two screens, and new influent piping, larger piping. The areas that we worked in, we upsized the piping and gave you the ability to do some bypassing to give you the redundancy you need. And again, this project is going well. It'll be started up later this year, spring of this year. So as far as the phase 2 improvements, we're going to step through the order of the process. So we talked about the headworks. Well, the next is going to be your biological treatment, what we refer to as aeration basins. So what you're looking there on the left side, that rectangle basin is called a VLR, vertical loop reactor. Not very efficient, proprietary. On the right side, you've got a circular tank, and that's called an orbital. So the issue here is, if you notice those white things and you kind of see the air, you're trying to impart air into your wastewater stream from the top down. It's not very efficient. Also, when you look at this, there are 15 different motors to treat your influent flow. So when it comes through the headworks, the flow goes to these two basins. Also, you have no redundancy right here, meaning that if that rectangular tank, the VLR, is out of service, you can't meet your permit with the orbital, and vice versa. So again, when we talk about redundancy, that is, especially with the number of motors, you have to take equipment down. I mean, it has to be maintained. And currently, you can't do that and meet permit. So the solution here is we're going to build a new blower building, an electrical building. We're going to do, and I've got a picture of this next, a fine bubble fixed grid aeration system. So it goes on the floor of a tank, and those blowers pump air. And so now we're putting air into the water from the bottom up. So air bubbles rise, so we're going to treat that entire column of water. New instrumentations and controls. So we're proposing to demolish the VLR, or the rectangular tank. If you notice how that is oriented on the site, it does not, it really just prevents you from expanding. It also, what you can't see on here is all your piping in the ground. You have to avoid it. So that's our plan. If you look, our plan is to now convert the orbital that we talked about. We're going to reuse that tank. We want to reuse as much stuff as we can. The concrete's good. So we're going to put that fixed grid aeration on the bottom, and we're going to convert, if you look at the rectangular tanks on the top right of the picture, we're going to convert those to biological treatment. It is currently your aerobic digesters, and we'll get into what we're going to do about the digestion in a minute. And we're also going to need to add some volume there, so that's that green rectangle you see. What's important about this, once the orbital's converted, it can be out of service, and you can treat all your flow through the converted digesters and vice versa. So you've got redundancy. And if you look closely, you'll notice that green rectangle that's going to add the volume we need to the digester. It does not get into the VLR. So going back to trying to phase this project, the plant has to be in operation for the duration of the project, for construction. So we're gonna be able to keep the Orbital and the VLR in service for the majority of the project, meaning that you're not gonna have to do supplemental treatment or temporary treatment. It's just one of those subtle things that's gonna save a lot of money as far as the construction costs go. Another big thing, I told you we had 15 motors currently. You're gonna go to 3 blowers, and that's redundant blowers. So, I mean, they're not gonna be running all the time. A lot of times, only one will be running. So you're going from 15 motors to 3. In an enclosure, it's gonna be quiet. You're not gonna hear those aerators run. The blowers will be inside, and it'll be quiet. Is another thing that's been an issue out there. And again, when we talk about this equipment, there'll be at least 3 blower manufacturers that can bid the work. There'll be at least 3 diffuser or the fixed grid aeration manufacturers that can bid the work. So we're not talking about proprietary systems. And here's an example of the aeration. This is a tank that we did several years ago. You can see the aeration, those discs, and then if you look at the bottom left picture, you can see how the air comes through those diffusers and through the water column. So once you leave the aeration basins or the biological treatment, you go to your secondary clarifiers. That's the next treatment down. So the issues with those, they're currently operating at capacity, at peak flow. But what's interesting is I'll say the book value, if you run the calculations for a secondary clarifier, there's 3 different ways you can look at it. These clarifiers should have redundancy at those average daily flows, but it doesn't. And we know that because we've asked the operators to isolate a clarifier and operate one. It won't do it. And so, again, the clarifier here is an old Schreiber design, pretty common a long time ago, but they're just not real efficient. The flow distribution isn't very good. They're a little bit shallower than you would want. And the other thing, this bridge here rotates around, so there's a wheel, and that whole thing rotates. It's just a maintenance issue. They've had issues with, you can imagine the electrical coming up through that center pier, and you're rotating, things will get tangled up and wires will get pulled apart. That's been one of the issues they've had. And then again, we'll talk about limited space in this area. So what we're proposing is to build a 3rd clarifier. As you see here, that rectangular square you see there, that is your current control building. As part of this project, we'll have to build a new control building. However, the current control building really does not meet the needs of the staff out there. It's small, facilities are just not great, so that's something that we're doing as part of this project. And we're gonna rehab or rebuild the existing 2 clarifiers that I just told you about. So that'll pull that rotating bridge out of there. We'll put a new clarifier mechanism in there, add some baffling, change the rake arm at the bottom make it more efficient. And so then you'll have essentially 3 new clarifiers. Again, there's at least 3 clarifier manufacturers out there, nothing's proprietary, that would bid this work. Also, we're adding the ability to flow split. That's just a fancy word for we can split the flow between all these clarifiers equally. You currently don't have that ability. It's just kind of a feel thing with valves, but we'll be able to dial in the flow to each of those clarifiers, and that's very common in new treatment design. Here's just an example of what the clarifier will look like, when we retrofit. So we'll replace that bridge. The flow coming in will be better distributed. We'll have Stanford baffling, or people call them different things, but the density curtain baffle, that'll make them more efficient. If you think about it, it turns the flow over. We want the solids to settle to the bottom, and we're clarifier, the weirs around the top, we're sending clean water over the weirs. So the idea is you want all your solids to settle out, and you want to send clean water over those weirs. And so next, from the weirs, you go into your tertiary treatment, another fancy word for you filter your water before it's discharged. So we have filters. Going back to the flows, you ask, your current capacity of these filters is about 7.4 MGD. So you're already exceeding the capacity of these filters.
Let me interrupt you a minute. You're saying we were exceeding the capacity of those filters at 7.4, when you already said our average daily flow is 2.2. You get 10 in a rain event
Yes,
with
sir.
all the
That's
fresh
what
water.
I'm-
So how are we exceeding 7.4 if we're flowing an average 2.2?
During peak flow. Very good determination. During a peak flow event, that happens. So, these filters require flow to be pumped through them. So if you think about all your flow leaving the plant, it has to be pumped again. Again, more equipment, more maintenance. You have to pump all your flow up through these filters. And again, to my knowledge, there's no other manufacturer of these, what they're called, referred to as fuzzy filters. And that's just because the media is fuzzy in there. So our proposal here is to do cloth disc filters. There's at least 3 manufacturers of those, nothing proprietary. We can gravity flow through those. So meaning that big pump station I'm telling you about, it goes away. We get rid of 3 big pumps currently, and those, I mean, if you keep pumping, you're gonna have to add more and more pumps, or bigger and bigger pumps. Minimal head loss through these, and they backwash with a motor that's 10 horsepower or less. The fuzzy filters require a big blower to backwash. So again, we're getting rid of pumps. We're putting in these disc filters. The removal, when you see the 5 or 10 micron cloth, the removal is better of the solids. So once we go through the filters, the next part of the treatment train is going to be your disinfection and your outfall. So disinfection is you're removing the virus, the E. coli and that sort of thing before it goes into the bay. So you currently have 2 UV channels. One UV system is relatively new. Our plan is to reuse that UV channel. The other is no longer supported and it's not in service. Very common for UV systems. At about 10 years, manufacturers send their parts to a third party, so your bulbs, ballast, you have to buy them from a third party, and the cost just continues to go up year after year. That's not an issue with your brand UV. That's across the board with UV systems. This UV building has had flooded in the past, and what we believe is that flooding is caused by peak flow and not being able to push enough water into the bay. So what we're looking at doing here is, like I said, we're going to build a new UV structure, relocate the UV system that is newer, and we're going to add an outfall structure for a secondary outfall. So we're going to raise the height of the UV slightly. That'll prevent the flooding, if you will, the backup, and then also propose doing a secondary outfall. This will avoid, for the time, the need to go out into Mobile Bay for another large diameter pipe discharge into the bay. We talked about digesters earlier. Like I said, our plan is to repurpose existing digesters and turn them into an aeration basin. The reason we want to do that is, 1, you need a little more digester volume now. 2, the waste sludge that goes to a digester is pumped. So we've got the ability to move those around. Hydraulically, it doesn't have to run downhill. So that's the other good thing. We can kind of locate the digesters anywhere we want to. And then solids disposal. I guess back last year, staff decided to go away from a contract dewatering service, and you are currently renting a piece of equipment. I think that got started up this week, maybe last. And so that belt press to rent, it saves a lot of money from the contract service, but it's about $390,000 a year. So our proposal is to move the digesters up on the entrance road on the left-hand side of the site. They will be covered and they will have odor control. With this odor control, we're going to include the headworks in that. So it centralizes that odor control system, if you will. Probably the headworks and the digesters are the 2 locations that you could have most of your odors from. and we're building a new solids handling building, or proposing, and it's really a city, decision if you want to continue to rent equipment or you want to buy your own belt press. You'll be able to put whatever you want in there. Buy a belt press or rent one, or even, there's other technologies to dewater. Belt press is just one of them. You get a solid storage area out of this, and that will give you the ability to send your dewatered solids to a dumpster, a dump truck. It just gives you a lot, or store it right there on site. That drains back to the head of the plant, that area will, so there's no runoff from it. It's all contained there, so it gives you the ability to store the stuff there. Yard piping, there's a lot of piping that's too small, needs to be relocated. It's in the way of what we talked about. We've looked at this for an incredibly long amount of time to understand that we can phase this project on the existing site. I think part of that is going to be, we need some electrical improvements. So if you think about all the motors we're getting rid of, they have to remain in operation during the construction. So you have this electrical building, and there's going to be less motor starters and stuff in there, but we can't do that day one. So we have to, beside the blower building, there's going to be an electrical room off of it. It'll house some new electrical equipment for the blowers, probably for the digester area and the new control building there. So there'll be some considerable electrical upgrades with this to get there, and also our plan is to reuse the existing standby generator that's there. It's relatively new. It's kind of a last slide, the benefits, increased treatment capacity to 8 MGD, we're talking average day. That was part of the directive in the RFQ, if you will. That gets you down the road. Peak day of 18 MGD. Going to use the existing site and facilities as much as we can. We've also factored in, 25 years from now, if you need to add more treatment. That was one of the things that came about in this conceptual site plan is, the what ifs 20 years from now. You've got more ability to expand on this site than what we're showing. If you look closely to the drawing, you can see some, what we're calling, quote, future. And this avoids a greenfield treatment plant. Aside from the capital cost, you've got a second permitted discharge likely into Mobile Bay. So you got the environmental impacts of that, and your operation and maintenance costs going to double. You're going to have to put staff there. Your power bill, it's a plant somewhere else. Considerably more expensive to do something like that.
What would be a ballpark cost of a total brand-new plant construction?
The plant, trying to direct flow to it and getting out into the bay, you're probably you're pushing $100 million.
That's the number that's been talked about.
Not that much, that's right, yeah.
Just a couple questions right out of the gate on this. One, and this may not be for you, but if our current average is 2 MGD and we're hitting 10 on peak flows, with all the upgrades we've made to our system and pipe and the lining and replacing old pipe, how could we still be getting 8 MGD during a rain event? That just seems shockingly high to me.
And I don't know that number's been tested recently. I mean,
Okay,
that's right.
after all the upgrades that we've
Okay,
done.
okay,
And we
I
still have more infiltration work to do. Dukes did that study. We have, more infiltration work to do. But yes, we have done a lot of lining and a lot of remediation. So
Yeah.
we should be in a better spot.
Better
But
spot
it
than
really
that.
hasn't been tested because we haven't had a huge rain event as of late.
And my other question is as you're, if you're proposing to do this, and I know this would be something for the contractor and y'all to sketch out, but the staging, I mean, is there going to be any considerable risk as, we're limited to basically this site, and so you're trying to rebuild and
That's
redo?
right.
What's the risk while you're in process of making these upgrades to
There's
major overflows or any kind of sanitary issues?
There's definitely some risk there. However, the contractors that bid this work, and we're fortunate, especially in South Alabama, they've done this type thing. They understand the risk, even to the point where we'll have pre-qualification language in the bid documents to make sure that they've done this type of work. Now, we've done this a lot. We know plan holders that can and can't do it. But yes, there is some inherent risk that comes along with working an existing facility. You know,
There's a
this-
risk with not upgrading it, obviously, too, so.
That's correct. That's correct.
Council, what kind of questions or comments do y'all have?
Well, I have a lot.
Me too.
Thank you for the presentation. Very good presentation. I kind of go back to, I had it down to ask about the fact that, we know that this peak flow is during a rain event. We know that we're spending a lot of money to try to improve the infiltration or trying to decrease the infiltration. I am shocked to hear it would still be at even 8 to 10. We seem to be designing a system that we will never need as far as the capacity of it. We're at 2.2 million gallons per day average, which I've been told for many years is about 50% of the capacity of the plant. It seems like, if we want to get to 8 million gallons a day, that's almost a 400% increase. So if you take the argument that we need to, it beats building a new sewer plant, that on its face value would be absolutely true. There'd be no argument. But because we're going to limit our territory, I don't know that we would ever reach that peak flow or an average peak flow that would be 8. I mean, we would have to be a city of 100,000 people. We would have to be 4 times what we are now, have 4 times the customers to get to 8 million, which would mean roughly, if we're at a population of 28,000, we'd have to have 100,000. And I think you guys did a study on how much infill we can do. And I kind of want you, can you refresh me on that? Didn't you tell us some numbers? You gave us some charts, so.
Yes, absolutely. So the 8 MGD comes from, and I don't know where y'all settled on the boundary.
Right.
But the 8 MGD came from a boundary we worked on and the infill. You're absolutely right. You're not at 8 MGD right now. And when we talk about, there's a couple of things. When we talk about peak flow, we're talking about hydraulic capacity, how much you can get through the plant.
Right.
When we talk about the 2.2, that average daily flow, we're talking about biological treatment. And so when we go back to those aeration basins, we're talking, when I tell you you can't shut one down at a time, you have to keep them both in operation. There's no redundancy. We're talking about that low flow, the plant's at half its capacity. I think with just being at the plant, talking to the operators and staff, we've asked them to shut the orbital off. What happens? Well, we did that, and we're violating our permit. We've asked to shut a clarifier down. Where you're at? Well, we had to open the valve. We had to turn it back on. We started sending solids over the weir. The sludge bed comes up. I know I'm getting into the weeds, but basically losing solids. So yeah, great question. The idea, and when we say 8 and 18, for example, the filter footprint we're showing on there, when you're sizing filters, you're looking at that peak flow, right? Because it's a hydraulic flow through there. We're showing 12.
Okay.
We're not going 24 right now. We're not going 18 right now. Okay, we understand. When we're talking about the UV.
And I was going to ask the UV, why are we looking at even 12 or 18 when even a peak flow now without fixing our infiltration problem is at worst case 8 to 10. And that's only going to get better. That's not going to get worse. That's improving every day. So I would ask that question. Why are we looking at
For the
12 and 18?
The idea is you've got one bank there, and Rob, I think it's a 10 or 12 MGD system already, but it's the only one you have.
And it could be that it doesn't cost any more to go to 12 than it does to go to 8. I mean, it could be.
That's definitely true. There's not much difference there. But you only have one bank that you can rely on. The other one's not supported anymore. We're not doubling the capacity of your UV. That's really a redundant item that we're looking at. We're talking about infiltration and inflow, and you asked a great question earlier about, where does your plant rank as far as size? What I will tell you with infiltration and inflow, I would say if you were to tell me it was your peaking factor, so if we're looking at that 2.2 and we're going to 10, so we'll just round numbers, you have a peaking factor of 5.
Yeah.
most of the good systems that track and they're constantly doing I&I work, I see it around 4. And I mean, you know, it's a lot of times you're moving the stuff downstream, if that makes sense. You know, groundwater's just going to find its way in. But I see it around 4. I can think of 2 utilities, one pretty close to y'all size in North Alabama, that they're peaking, and they've done a lot of I&I work, and their peaking factor is around a 4. Not saying it couldn't get better than that, but if you were to ask me to design a greenfield plant, for example, right now, and you needed a 4 MGD plant, I would put the peak flow at 16.
The question would be, though, what I'm getting at on that is it better to put your money into reducing infiltration if you could reduce that by 4 million MGD as opposed to treating 4 million MGD? And so, I mean, I would think the answer would probably be yes. So I'm kind of getting at the fact that I don't want to overdo this. So a couple of more questions. And, you know, I think that everybody would say redundancy makes common sense. I think that people would say efficiency makes common sense, but, you know, do you build a whole nother plant for redundancy? So my question is this: with our existing plant, how many days have we had to shut down for lack of redundancy? Because I've been on this council a long time, and I can't remember a lot of times that, you know, we were in a panic because the plant was shut down because we didn't have some redundancy.
Yeah, probably.
I'll be happy to answer that. I don't think we have had to shut down, Councilman Burrell, because our employees are doing that work manually. They're not, they're raking the screens because there's not a redundant screen.
But that's the headworks, right? But
It's at the
headworks is
headworks,
already
but
gonna be
it's,
finished this spring.
correct, but there are other things that are being done manually by the staff
Okay.
that can't be done because we don't have the technology or the efficiencies there to do it, and that's why the plant
But
doesn't
we
have to
spend
shut
40
down.
million, so bring me to efficiencies, we spend $40 million. How many years would it take to recoup the man hours it takes to do that manually? Are we just paying for the convenience of that? Because I would say by the time we break even on that, we need a whole new plant built.
Well, we're hoping with this, we won't need a whole new plant built. That's the plan, and limiting the service territory.
I'd say it'd probably take 40 years to, at minimum, 50 years to that efficiency to.
I mean, that's what we have discussed, by limiting the territory and building this plant to serve that territory, then this is what we would need to do versus building a second plant. That you'll have to staff, the other thing is the piping. Right now, we have one pipe in the ground that we can reverse valve. So everything else flows to this plant.
Those were my questions.
I think one of the things you asked about how far to go with redundancy, I think I can address that. So for example, the grit system that we show that's going in right now, we can bypass that grit system. If some grit gets through the plant because that small motor goes down, that motor's on the shelf, you can get one quickly, you're okay. Operators can handle that grit. Another thing is the belt press. You don't need to buy 2 belt presses. If it goes down, you just can't de-water for a few days until it gets repaired. And if it gets real bad, you know, you've got contracted services around here. You know, I think when we're talking about the impacts potentially on the bay, UV, if it goes down, you're not disinfecting. That's important. You've got your filters. Again, you want to be able to filter that flow coming through. And your clarifiers, just from a maintenance standpoint, if your clarifiers are operating correctly, it lengthens the life of your filters. And so, one of the things we looked at is, okay, well, let's just put one clarifier in service that you have and let us go rehab the other. But like we said, we tried that in the field and they can't treat that flow. So we're kind of at a point where, you know, it's going to take 9 months to a year to rehab a clarifier potentially. Probably more along the lines of 9 months. But for that 9 months, your other clarifier is not meeting the standard. It's not working properly. So there's several things in the system or at the plant that's kind of led us down, okay, well, we need a third clarifier.
So you mentioned the bridge that we have that's at the top of our clarifier, but it looked like in the rendering of the new clarifier that it also had a bridge, and things that are made by man, they're going to eventually fail and need maintenance as well.
Absolutely.
I mean, we may be, are we at end of life on that clarifier that we have now? Because it was rebuilt, what, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, maybe?
I'm not sure on the rebuild. I can say that in talking with staff, there's a lot of electrical issues that go along in there, where that thing rotates. There is a bridge on the new ones.
My point is, we'll be right back in here, or you guys will be back in here in 12, 14 years saying, yep, we need a new clarifier because it's old and it's breaking down, it's failing.
We've had similar clarifiers that you just have to replace motors. There's squeegees on the bottom, there's brushes, but you're not having to pull the whole mechanism out. So the way that clarifier works, I should have pointed it out, there's a motor in the middle and it turns in the middle. So that bridge is fixed. You just can access to the middle of the clarifier off that bridge. So that whole bridge doesn't rotate anymore. You're not worried about how wires twist up in there, and those motors are relatively small. So I would say we've had several opportunities that they come sandblast the rake arms and coat them. But the idea is you got to be able to shut one down at a time to get in there and do that. And so that's our goal when we talk about redundancy for maintenance. I mean, absolutely. Everything that's especially that's submerged in wastewater, is going to need to be maintained and rehabbed at some point.
Thank you for
Thank y'all.
taking those shots and answering those questions. I appreciate it.
Anytime.
Joshua, any
Yeah,
questions?
I've got a couple, thank you.
Councilman Gammon, I should say.
You're fine. What is the estimate? So I know you said that you were building off a proposed 8 million gallons per day average,
That's right.
right? What would it take? Councilman Burrell was alluding to it, but what systems, what cities, what is their size that gets to that typical flow rate?
Trying to think of a comparable one. AMGD plant, population-wise. Yeah. Boaz, Northeast Alabama. And I think and the 8-MGD was driven by the infill and the boundaries. I would say when you look at some of the stuff, like the aeration basins right now that you
Right.
see, the biological treatment, they're 6. So there's an intermediate step. We're not going all the way to 8 today, but you'll be able to treat, 3 and 3 was kind of because we think you need the redundancy. So if you go back to, see if I can find it quickly, that first one of those drawings. If you see those 2 dashed lines right there, that's future. So that gets you to the 8. Probably a very good point. What you're looking at right there is about 6. So we're not we are taking a step to redundancy and some additional treatment capacity, but we're not going all the way there.
So it's not to 8, it's actually only 6.
That's right.
Okay.
Want to mention that different pieces of the plant or size for different flows.
Right.
And monthly versus
annual. We're talking biological treatment right there,
Uh-huh.
so you're looking at those average daily flows. Your headworks has to be designed for your peak flow.
Right.
Clarifiers have to be designed for a peak flow, because you don't want to wash solid. I mean, the stuff that settles out, we're trying to get out, it could go over the weirs if you have too high flow. Filters have to be designed for the peak flow. And so UV as well, because you want all that flow to go through there and get those ultraviolet lights. So good comparison here. We're not taking the jump all the way to 8. We agree. That might never happen. But what we know is what the service boundaries are looking like is that's where you're going to be, is at an 8.
So you're saying this actually takes us to a 6, but then is the peak still 18 or is the peak something different?
Peak would be from, 12 to 15. I think we're planning
12
on
to 15.
12 right now.
Okay. And then, thank you.
We're sizing pipes, we're sizing pipes for a bigger flow than that, because if you think about an 80-year asset in the ground, so we don't want, the difference between putting a 30-inch pipe in the ground and a 36-inch pipe in the ground, it's going to be
Minimal,
cheaper today than
right.
it's going to be
Of course
80
it
years
is, yeah,
later,
they're digging
right?
all up
So,
later. So, talking about the capacity and the functions of it as you're building it, so during a peak flow today, what happens that would be different than a peak flow under this system? Or what happens or does not happen because we were in this new system?
During a peak flow for this new system, your headworks is gonna your grit removal is sized for 12 MGD. So that's the vortex, we said you've got 2 screens. Both of those are sized for 8 or 10 MGD each, but again, you really want redundancy for those. So both of those channels are open. Flow would go through your aeration basins, your converted digester. You'll have plenty of treatment capacity there. Flow can be evenly split between your clarifiers, which is real important during a peak event because the way hydraulics work, the closest clarifier is going to get more flow. The pipes get longer, there's more head loss, so you want to be able to split flow there. The clarifiers won't allow solids to go over the weirs, and then your filters would flow by gravity. You wouldn't have to pump that flow back through. You would certainly be filtering all your water, and then you would have the redundancy, that peace of mind that your UV is redundant. You're getting disinfection.
And what's happening today?
What's happening today? You have really good operators. She said it, and I mean, I've been out there, and not to.
Does that mean there's no spillage, there's no leakage, there's no flow problems, or that's happening just at minimal levels? I mean, I guess that's the question, right?
I think we had it reported last year for the outfall. That happened, big rain event. That was one of those, quote, flooding events, if you will, at the UV. Your operators do a good job balancing between the 2 aeration basins, the biological treatment, because they're not very efficient, but one can treat more than the other, and there's no meter to tell how much is going to each one. The clarifiers, they watch the weather, they pump the rags down, they waste more, they try to get that sludge bed down as far as they can. And, you know, sometimes it rains down here. I mean, I think y'all have rains as much as rainforest at times in the summer.
So would you say this would eliminate any SSOs?
You'll never eliminate all SSOs, but yes,
Reduce it?
this will help the overflows at the plant, yes.
Okay. Just a couple more questions, sorry. You talked about that tertiary filter that we have. It looks like it's fairly new. I mean, when was that installed?
14 or 15.
14? 2014?
Yeah, 2014.
I'd say, what's the I know you talked about this a little bit, but what is the overall benefit to switching that versus just keeping that
Really
in for a
good
little while?
gravity flow. You don't have to pump through it.
But so it's just reducing the pump?
Reducing the pumps, you get rid of the blowers. Those existing filters have to be backwashed with a blower. And these require a 10 horsepower motor to clean them. That's what a backwash is. You're
Okay.
cleaning off the filter. The gravity flow is big. You get better removal, and you get what we would think the hydraulic capacity you need to filter the water.
Okay.
They're also not sole sourced.
That's
The
exactly
fuzzy
right.
filters are sole sourced.
You've got a situation where you have to buy media from them. I mean,
But what's the cost comparison? I mean, is it half the price?
I haven't compared. To be honest, I
Well,
haven't
just like
compared the fuzzy
Councilman Burrell was
filters.
saying, you know, if we're changing from filter to filter and we're, I don't know, say it's a $10 million change, but we're only saving $100,000 a year, does that really make
I don't-
sense versus just spending an extra $100,000 every year for the next 10 years?
It's not I mean, it's not an apples and apples comparison, but your filter portion of this is 2 to 3 million. I don't have the itemized cost estimate in front of me. You know, the idea, I'll be honest, I haven't looked at fuzzy filters mainly because they're sole source proprietary equipment. Yeah, and the company's no longer around. Several of your things out here, not to call names, several of your pieces of equipment out here are no longer supported. They were bought out, sold, they went bankrupt.
Right. And then my last question, sorry, Council, how much of this plant would you say is or these projections, plans, are building in redundancy versus increasing capacity? And I get that some of that's not mutually exclusive, probably both is.
That's right.
Just because it's newer technology, you're doing this stuff, but what would you say?
I would say greater than half of the portion of the project is building in redundancy.
Okay.
So if I had to put a number to it, 65, 70%, 30% would be capacity.
Would there be a way to reduce overall costs by building in the redundancy but not increasing capacity by as much?
Yes, the short answer to that is yes. I do think we've done some of that already. Like I said, the filters are not 18 or 24 MGD filters. We're pricing 12.
Right.
And that's a peak flow number. That's not
Right.
a treatment number. Your aeration basins are 6, but if you think about, if you're at 2.2 right now and we want redundancy,
Right.
we're thinking 3 and 3.
Yeah.
To each side. And again, that redundancy in your biological treatment matters. I think we've, you know, like I said, you don't have a redundant grit removal system. If your grit's down for a few days, it's not gonna be detrimental to your treatment or your discharge into the bay.
And again, so the 6 MGD, what's that popular, what would you equate that to? 50,000,
Population-wise?
60,000, 100,000?
I wish I had more data on. from
You don't have to
the
give me an answer right now.
Yeah, I mean,
We're not signing any checks tonight, so.
So, yeah, I mean, I think that's a hard question to ask, because if you think about, the city of Fairhope is a largely residential type system, commercial. You know, we'll have a client that might have half the residents, but
Right, a lot of
3
industry or something, right?
two industries dump
Yeah.
2 million gallons a day
Right.
on them. So,
Right.
it's really hard to compare
Yeah,
that
but
across the board.
important just because, you know, we know we have 15, 16,000 potentially in the pipeline, and then how much more inside that sewage area. So I want to have some reasonable guess that, you know, hey,
Right.
yeah, this would get us to a $50,000 population, or a 40,000. What does that look like? Otherwise, are we going to be back
I
here like
can
Councilman
look
Burrell
back
says
at
in
the-
5 years and saying it's not enough?
I think when we looked at the service territory, we put a number on that, so we can go back and review that with
Based
you,
on a
because you probably
percentage of
haven't.
infill.
Yes, correct, based on a
Yeah.
percentage of infill.
And we look at, we've got pretty good numbers based on data from your water meters and stuff like, we look at a lot of that as gallons per acre per day. So your infilled acreage, you know, we looked at that, and I can rehash this and send it back, or we can have another meeting. You know, we looked at what's multifamily, commercial, high-density residential, and more of a, quote, an estate residential, if that makes sense, just bigger lots, but you'll likely have higher flows from them. That was based on your data. That was based on your meter usage from a water system standpoint and what we're seeing. And so that's where that came from as far as that overall 8. I mean, again, it's a crystal ball at some point, but you have to plan for something. And we based it on what I like to think is the data we have at hand, which would be your water meter usage and that sort of thing.
Questions, I think I get the gist of it. Current plant doesn't work great, but the operators make it seem like it does, so.
I just have a suggestion that we all go to the plant and let Daryl show us the equipment and let him kind of let us see with our eyes. I've already been there myself, and so I do understand that we need some modern technology. And I think they're working themselves to death, and I think we need to consider that. Think about our
They would hire
employees.
people and budget a couple more people if they're doing such a great job and save 40 million.
I'm not sure that's the field trip I want you
There may be
guys to go
grants,
on.
maybe somewhere in between, but
I think if you go and check it out, hands on it, see it.
All right, and did y'all have a ballpark, price on this? I mean, on what's being proposed?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're just shy of $40 million,
40 million?
yes.
All right. Any
Versus 100 million.
additional questions or comments, council? Thank you very much. I
Thank you.
appreciate your time.
Thank you all. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for your time.
Thank you so much.
All right, next item up is a discussion on professional services purchasing policy. Kim, I think you can go over this.
A quick one, yeah?
Good evening. I just wanted to look at some options for our current policy on professional services. And this professional services This is section 3 in the policy that's currently in place, is that these are anything that's under 100. What has changed that's not updated here, in 2020, the policy changed from 2,500 to 5,000, that the mayor could select and approve a contract, and we issue POs for those. What I'm trying to look at is just trying to come up with some efficiencies of a selection that could be selected, negotiate, bring a contract directly to the council. Currently right now it's anything over $5,000, and up, and you are the awarding authority, so that's, your job to award a contract. It's your decision, at what dollar amount you want to make it. I gave you some examples of some contracts that have been awarded, and, what normally comes through is a selection. Y'all approve the selection, and then you authorize mayor to negotiate a contract. And I'll give you an example of one that's coming straight to the council tonight. There's one on a road, on a bridge inspection. They're the only vendor that does that. So based on that, that's brought straight to you to select. I've also attached so that you can see, we have a list of qualified vendors. Those are engineering firms, architects, that's been vetted by the staff that has a list. So we have a list to pick from. So what I just wanted to be able to is there any appetite for a dollar amount? Is it 15,000, anything under 15,000 that staff and mayor could already have a contract and bring it straight to the council? What we're seeing is the steps that we go through. Sometimes that takes a 6-week period from start to finish to get a contract done, approved. Once y'all approve it, then it's coming back through staff of getting the contract in order, all the paperwork signed, executed. So that, timeline, usually can be 6 weeks. So I just want to bring this up, just try to look at some efficiencies. It may be something y'all don't have the appetite for, but at least I wanted to bring it forward.
I'd be in favor of considering something to make this more efficient. So basically taking that 2-step process, making it a one-stop shop.
Yes,
And you're looking for a dollar amount
yes.
that we would be willing to go up to. And then the mayor, this is currently up to 5,000 that you can,
That's the professional services.
professional services.
Yeah. And we have
That was just doubled in 2020?
It was done in 2020. And prior to that, and I don't have any history of it, this policy was put in place in 2017. Prior to that, it was 15,000, and I have no history on that. I can just look at policies.
I have a lot of history on it.
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
recommend 25,000, Council President, as a good number. That's what I recommend. I think it does make it efficient, but we have to be bold enough if you select somebody and come back with a price and we don't like the selection, which is almost never happens, but we still have to be bold enough to say no. The problem is when you sit up here and you don't want to embarrass somebody, we're reluctant to say no, but we have to have the courage if you cut this down to a one-step process and we don't like it, to say no.
Yeah, I'd be in favor of something to that effect. I'd also be in favor of bumping the mayor's threshold from 5 to 10 or whatever. I mean, I
That
think
has been doubled to, that's not 5. That was 10 or 15.
I think it ought to probably be 10 or 15, and then I think we ought to have that, another threshold for like a one-stop.
I thought we lowered it in 2017 for obvious reasons, and then
I don't know that we ever changed it.
I thought we went back in 2020 or 21,
We changed it in 2020 when new mayor and council was selected,
and we moved it to what?
and we made it to 5,000. And
We
so
lowered it to 2,500?
it was 2,500
Okay,
and.
all right, we doubled it, okay. Okay, yeah. I'd be in favor of increasing that.
I think we ought to, 2 parts. I think we ought to increase that, and I think we ought to do what I call a one-stop shop.
Can we put anything on there? I don't know, that's just weird to me. There's only one vendor that does something? Entire?
But we only got one person that sells the filters we're buying on right now, and it sounds like they're not in business either, so. Yeah, so they
That's
built it to
wild.
fit their system and.
That's wild.
Yeah. So, and there's some services, I mean, and when you get to that item, Richard can explain about the bridge inspectors, the one company that's available. And you'll have, periodically you would have something like that.
All right, well, council, if we're looking for those 2 points, throw out some numbers on, I know I've heard 25 on, what about on the mayor's side? Any thoughts on?
All for it.
Yeah, I think what Jack's saying, or sorry, Councilman Burrell's saying makes sense. It's just those, when there's no competition, that just gets, I don't know, that feels a little wild. I don't know, just when there's nothing between, and I'm not gonna say Mayor Sherry, but between any mayor and a decision of financial, and then there's no competition, and we're just saying, yeah, just go ahead and keep doing it. I mean, so then we don't even have any way of pushing back, I would say, if we think that amount's high enough.
I just look at that from more of a, if you trust the mayor and if the amount was 15,000 12 years ago or 14 years
That's
ago.
for any, let's make sure that's for any purchase. Yeah, that's not professional services, that's for
Right.
any
For any
purchase.
purchase.
Professional services would be 25,000 is what Jack was,
That's
or
what I read,
15.
yeah, for professional services.
He's
I'm-
talking.
I'm good on
the-
Yeah, I just
professional
want to make sure that
services.
you knew that that wasn't for professional services, that.
No, we're talking
five
two
is
different
for
things.
any-
Separate things.
Any purpose, and
Right.
basically any purpose, any spending.
Right.
Five, yeah. Five.
And two different things. I'm just
Yeah.
kind of combining them since we're on the topic. I think 25, everybody good with 25 on professional
Professional,
services?
yeah.
Okay. And I'll bring back a section of that purchasing policy to add that it's really going to be a different paragraph on that section for those dollar amounts, for contracts that can be selected by mayor and bring contract for y'all to award. And then we're still keeping the 5,000 for anything that it doesn't come back to the council.
But I'd be willing to raise that to, I mean, it was actually 15 prior to being 2,500. We
Right.
we lowered it from 15 to 2,500.
Yeah, I think we
And
should
I would
look at
easily go back to 15 or even 20 with inflation. I mean,
I think 20 is a good number with inflation from how long ago that was for that. So maybe two separate resolutions, I guess, but I think you could look at doing both of those.
So.
as long as you don't 19,999 us to death.
So I just want to be clear to make sure I have this, is that we're going to go to, for mayor, mayor can go ahead and select and approve a contract that's 20,000 or 15,000?
Professional services.
Professional, it's just
25,000.
professional.
Just
Only
professional
professional.
services.
From the approved
20.
list. Right, from the approved list.
Correct. 25 was the number.
25.
And I think
Professional
for
services.
those of you who've served as council president, y'all know there's a lot of conversation between myself and the council president when we're talking about any of this stuff. So there's always that opportunity for us to discuss it. But again, just like Councilman Burrell said, there's always the opportunity when you come here to say, I don't like that selection, which it is hard to do when you're sitting up there in public. And hopefully we'll never have to do that because you don't want to do that to anybody, but
Yeah, I think that was, the whole point
Yeah.
was, on the other, was that, you trust the mayor. You don't always know who's going to be the mayor, and so you have some measure of restraint there.
Well, and so that anybody watching understands why that's necessary. I mean, we only meet every 2 weeks, twice a month. Sometimes there are things that come up in a given week that's emergently necessary that you need before we reconvene. And so the mayor needs to have some spending authority to be able to handle that issue and come up with a solution. But even then, even if this number changes, that doesn't mean that there's not some discussion that happens or that it's not reported to us. It's just not something that requires a vote any longer.
And on the professional services, we're just trying to eliminate the two-step process, make it more efficient.
Okay, I just want to clear, because it would be a range
Two
here.
totally different things.
It's two totally different things.
And I'm sorry for bringing up the other, but it just sort of
No, it's a good.
was a good time to address it.
It's a good point, is that we're going to authorize mayor that she can go ahead and do contracts up to, is that what we said, for 20,000 that wouldn't come to the council? And then,
Not contracts.
No, that's
spending.
spending.
but I meant
purchases.
that these are professional services. Right now, it's 5,000.
I
that
don't-
you don't even see.
Even for professional services?
Yeah.
Yeah, so up to $5,000, like if there's I'm just gonna say something random, a copier, and it's a $2,500 contract, then I can do that without it coming to the council. That's what she's talking about. I don't know that y'all want to do $25,000.
Yeah, I think that second one we need to work on a little bit. The 20,000, the authorization to spend 20,000, that's kind of, that's any category. And then maybe if it comes to a professional services contract, you have a threshold of whatever to say it doesn't even have to come to us at all. Right now,
It's 5,000.
25, yeah, it has to
And
come.
we're just saying it doesn't need to be a two-step process,
Yeah,
that
I
we
would
can
just say-
select, negotiate, and it come to you. Because right now, we're selecting, then it goes back for 2 weeks, then we come back, and then we approve it. So we're just saying, stop the two-step process.
Yeah, so I would still say anything my thought, anything 5,000 or less for professional services
Oh, yeah.
doesn't
I'm
come
totally
back
fine
to
with
us
that.
at all.
Right.
So anything between,
5 and 25.
all this,
5,
Lisa?
25 come to you.
Five and
5,001 to 25.
it's a one-stop
25.
shop.
Yes.
We got it. Okay, I will,
And then the other is just
5,000 and
Spending
one penny.
spending limit.
That's how you have to write it.
Yeah.
got it. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Kim.
All right, council, committee updates. Councilman Burrell.
Had an airport authority meeting scheduled for tomorrow, so no report on that. I guess this might fall under Harbor Board, but sort of kind of the dredging's taking place down, Fly Creek dredging's going full speed ahead. I mean, they are pumping some dirt out of there, let me tell you.
Councilman Gammon.
Good work with Hunter and some others on the tree committee. We'll be presenting that at a later date, but Fairhope Environmental Advisory Board meets this coming Friday. A little out of cycle, but looking forward to meeting with them, and that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, had the parking authority meeting was rescheduled this week to the 26th of, that's a Thursday, 26th of February. And then the Public Schools Commission meeting, attended my first one the other day. Lots of good information report, and we're working on scheduling all the principals to come to council and tell about the $3 million spending, how they've applied those monies, and a lot of good discussion about that, and look forward to them coming to present to the council, so. Councilman Robinson.
Yeah, I haven't had any meetings since the last time we were here, but we do have another review of the ordinance for the historic preservation demolition review.
All that.
And so that'll be discussed here shortly.
Looking forward to it.
All right, Councilwoman Booth.
Well, we did have the History Day, and I went and judged a documentary, which was all the Fairhope High School students, the IB program, and that was a lot of fun, a lot of great essays, and a lot of awards given, and some money, and I enjoyed being there with Sherry, and I just want to tell you guys that we do get a lot of calls from concerned citizens, and I just want to thank Public Works. John Thomas, are you here? There he is. I reached out to him, and he immediately addressed both issues that different citizens had, and I just really appreciate his promptness. He was drove to one guy's house within 3 minutes, 5 minutes. He was there, so we appreciate you. And I also want to thank the chief, Stephanie, because she answers every call. She's always there for me and there for the citizens. And sometimes I ask some pretty silly questions that get asked to me, but she's always so kind, and she'll speak with the citizen, and she makes everything better. And I just want to talk about the library, champagne and chocolate. Sherry and I attended, and they raised $25,000, and the event was sold out. In the auction, they raised $15,000. And the library wanted everybody to know that they'll be showing the documentary The Librarian on February the 19th at 5:30. And the tickets are free, but you have to go online to the library website to reserve your tickets, so they'll know how many people are coming. And so this event is sponsored by Friends of the Library and Read Freely. Thank you. That's all I have.
All right. All right, next is department head updates. We only got about 10 minutes or so, but if you get a minute. Good evening, Wes.
Good evening. This is
Hey.
probably your toughest decision of the night. Line item number 17 is just an approval to change the name of Survey Field Services, who we have selected to do our leak survey, to Stored Quality Services. Nothing changes. Same company, same dollar amount. The only thing that changes is the name of the company.
I'm not sure I like it, so.
Well,
That it?
that's it.
All right, that's easy enough.
Thanks.
Sir,
I do want to make a quick clarification. There are other engineering firms that offer bridge inspection services. Usually your bigger regional ones like Mott McDonald or Volker or Thompson, but usually those crews are based out of a Birmingham, a Huntsville, or something of that nature. We're kind of unique here in Baldwin County. There is a firm that every one of their employees live here. They've done our bridge inspection cycles for the last 3 cycles, which is over the last 6 years. And they must be pretty honest, because I noticed that their quote for the same 7 bridges this year are $300 less than it was 3 years ago, which that doesn't usually happen. Don't tell them that. But
You just did.
Yeah, too late.
so basically, they have to be ALDOT approved, because our 7 structures that qualify as bridges have to be put in a national database for inspection, and then we have to track if they find any deficiencies that we've repaired those in a prompt and timely manner. So you can go ahead, I can tell you, in February of 2028, we're going to be right back up here asking for you to award a contract to do our annual or every other year bridge inspection. But there are other firms that do it, but they charge you that overhead of transport for them to come and the costs associated with that. And we're just fortunate that we have a professional service vendor here that is based in Baldwin County that does a good job. And literally, we have not had an iota of problem with our process and being registered, and we've never had anything kicked back from Federal Highway or ALDOT. So I take that as a good relationship and a good service that we're getting. But there are other firms that provide it, but as far as them having local certified bridge inspectors here in Baldwin and Mobile County, we're very fortunate. We've got a group that's all based here. So, but I did want to make sure that. I've got 3 items to discuss. One of them is kind of unique. You've probably have been on the council for a while, we've discussed this right away. But item number 9 is we're asking your approval to authorize the mayor to enter into a cooperative maintenance agreement. We have an unopened right-of-way that has a property that a person who owns wants to develop. So they want to put a driveway down this length of right-of-way. And since it's unopened and you have not authorized it to be a public road for maintenance, we have to get a cooperative maintenance agreement. And basically 2 things will happen. One, that applicant will submit a right-of-way permit showing his construction plans of how he's going to build his driveway, address drainage, BMPs, and all that. And then once that permit is approved from an engineering standpoint, he will enter into this cooperative maintenance agreement. And the short story is, and this is, Mark has drafted this, basically he is responsible for everything that goes on as far as the perpetual maintenance and upkeep of his driveway for as long as he uses it. So we're asking you to approve item number 9, and that will be tied to a right-of-way permit that will be reviewed for engineering principles and design and drainage and all those things that we look at when somebody is building infrastructure in city-owned property. Any questions about that one? Okay. Item number 12 is very easy. This is, we're asking you to award the contract to build a pavilion at Barnwell Park. And just so you know, now that we are in the advent of public works projects under 100,000, does not require sealed bids, but when they're getting at this level, we do formal quotes. We send out a formal RFQ, and we handle it just like a sealed bid, other than the fact that they don't have to submit a bid bond. We don't have a formal cutting the envelope and reading out the bids. They have a due date that they have to send it in, and time they have to send it into purchasing. As you can see, that we had, I think, 5 responses, and they were classified responses, meaning that went to purchasing. They opened them at the appointed time at noon on that day, and then they submit to me a bid tab to sign. So, and I think the difference between number 1 and 2 was like $1,500. So we feel good about that, and we're asking you to award that contract. And then the final item, I am requesting a walk-on item. As you know, we had to exercise our surety with the contractor at the John Martin Nature Center. The surety has been responsive. Just to give you a quick process, they got with us and their representatives to come up with a scope of work, of remaining work to be done and things that needed to be addressed. Then they took that out and bid it, and they allowed us to provide a list of contractors that we had a good positive history with in the past, and that's who they solicited bids from. They got a responsive bid back from a firm that we've worked with, and they have now submitted a settlement to the claim, which would accomplish the following things. One, we would authorize the mayor to enter into what they call a tender agreement. That is, we have remaining funds in this project that we will tender to go toward it because that's what it's intended for. They will be responsible for the difference, meaning their bid is more than what we left owing to the contractor who could not finish the project, as well as there is a change order that never was agreed upon, and we're still arguing about the magnitude of that, but we've gone ahead and captured the worst case scenario in that, and we're still negotiating. And this approval would be subject to Marcus's review and approval of the tender agreement because it's a three-party agreement between the surety, the contractor that's been bids who's been selected in the city. But we, even though it's only 10 days till we meet again, if we can get this nailed down, they're 10 days notice to proceed and 90 days to complete the project. So if we can get them cut loose, the sooner the better, so we can get that project finished and open.
And council, it is listed on your agenda, but since it was not on the published agenda, we'll probably need to add that at the beginning of the meeting. So,
I'd be glad
Thank
to
you,
answer any
sir.
questions. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Additional printout for us to look at? Is it right here?
It should be
Oh,
right
it's this
there
one
in
right here,
front of you
okay,
guys.
thank you, sorry, yep, thank you.
I'm back again. Item number 21, this is for a fire vehicle, and just so if any of y'all don't know, is when the volunteer fire department has their funds, they purchase vehicles. But to be able to get a municipal tag, the vehicles are then transferred from the volunteer fire department to the city of Fairhope, and then city of Fairhope gets a municipal tag, and then, and we add them to our insurance. So this is a vehicle that was purchased with the volunteer fire department's money. It was totaled, and so the funds, the insurance has made the check out to us. And so the volunteer fire department has already purchased a vehicle, and this is just to reimburse them. So it's $32,661. And then Lisa's been working on the insurance claim, and if they come back and give us additional $2,500 deductible, then we would also write a check to the fire department if those funds come available. Do you have any questions? And Chris is here to answer any if you have any else.
how are you doing, sir?
Good, how are you? As Councilman Robinson mentioned, the demolition review procedures for the historic preservation is on the agenda. I think we've had 2 work sessions on this. I know we've discussed it quite a bit. I know that legal counsel has reviewed it, and the addition that you have, or the copy that you have, I think everybody's happy with. I will, in the meeting, ask for one reword on one little thing, very small, that I noticed. But other than that, if you have any questions, happy to discuss it. I know we've talked about it quite a bit, though.
All right, thank you, sir.
Hey, hey.
Good
John,
evening,
How are you?
Councilwoman Booth. Thanks for the nice words. Appreciate it. I just have Resolution 11 on there, and that's to award the bid for Mendoza's barrier fence. This is a 5,500 linear feet of privacy fence for our landfill. We've done a little bit of it last year, and this should finish off the majority of the backside, and really all we'd have is some off of Section Street that we need to take care of, but this will get the majority of the backside and get us some security back there.
Perfect, thank you. I know y'all, we may have more questions when we come up since we're not getting real in-depth on these, but
All right, good
try to
evening.
cover them.
Brevity,
Good,
we
you're
can do
good.
that, that's fine.
I have 3 items on the on the agenda. The first one is a resolution to approve the procurement of a three-position Eagle Line dispatch furniture. We are relocating the dispatch center within the building to a bigger area. This will be new furniture for that relocation.
Per usual, under budget.
Yes, I try.
Don't make faces back there. She does a good job.
Did y'all have any questions about that?
No, ma'am.
Yes, it was budgeted. Let's see, item 19 is a resolution. This goes with the furniture as well. So we've got to relocate the radio consoles at the same time. So this will be Team 1 that's going to do that. They already program, they monitor, and they service what we currently have. Good, okay. And then the last item is a resolution. We talked about this in the work session last week, or last agenda. We're asking for a seasonal school resource officer position to be added.
No changes, right? You still think
No,
she's gonna be half a
everything's,
position or whatever?
everything's still the same.
Thank you, Chief.
Is that it?
Thank
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Carol?
Hey, good
Hey,
evening.
Darryl.
Hi, I've got 4 items. We'll start with number 13, and this is to reject the bids. We had our 12 lift station bypass pumps. We had multiple bidders. It came in very, very high, a lot higher than we expected. So we're asking to have you guys reject all the bids, and we'll put it back out to bid and see what other interest we can get to get that cost to come down.
Well, Darrell, if you had multiple bids, what's going to change? If you'd have said you had 1 bid or 2 bids,
It came in about 3 times what we budgeted for, and we did, our research based on pricing and getting some subject matter experts and concrete quotes, and, we expected, between $20,000 and $30,000 a site, but it ended up to be about $80,000.
So what's your
a site.
strategy to get more bidders? Are you going to change the scope
I'm
of
going to be
work,
working
or-
with Noel and Richard and Aaron to see what we can do to figure out whatever we can do to get that price down.
I've reached out to a couple companies that did bid on it the first time.
Yeah.
I think they'll bid on it.
Some of them was also the foundation, the concrete pads, correct? No? On that, the concrete pads, some of that was the issue too, increasing the cost.
I'm not sure what we had budgeted for.
Never mind, go ahead.
It was budgeted before,
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So that's what I'm going to ask of you guys tonight, is to reject those bids and see what we can do to get our price down.
Happily.
Number 14, this is, so at our wastewater treatment plant, we've got our belt press, the one we rented. It's going very, very well. Well, during the construction of that area, the contractor decided to go with a separate concrete company than what we have a contract with, and he kind of did that on his own will. So the concrete's been poured, the project is done, but we're going to pay that concrete at our contract price and not the price that he paid. So we got the quantities, we got the amounts, we got what we should have paid. So we need to go ahead and
He just selected the wrong provider.
He went on his own accord and just ordered the concrete instead of
Gotcha.
working with us and saying, hey, we'll have the
We're
concrete
short paying
delivered. So I don't know why he did that, but he did.
Well,
But
and-
long story short,
But it's making the price right on it.
that's right.
Got it.
What we would have originally paid.
Okay.
Number 15 is for the annual contract. This is a budgeted item, just for ACS to continue to support us in the wastewater plant for the SCADA system there.
Right. Number 16 is you as well.
And number 16 is, I'd like to reclassify a water service technician to a crew lead. We're just one position short, but we're fully staffed, and we've got 2
field supervisors out there, but we have a lot of ground troops that are out there, and I'd like to have one more crew lead to gather those guys up and go do projects, since now that we are fully staffed.
All right.
Budgeted?
Yes, it is budgeted. So with salary savings, we've had vacant positions this fiscal year, so it's more than enough to cover what that position will end up costing.
Darrell, I want to go back to that previous one. So we're increasing that award by $3,200, which happens to bring it back to exactly what was budgeted. That's just fishy to me. I'm sorry. It was 23.3. Oh, you guys budgeted 26.5? Hey, we need $3,200 more to equal your budget. What's up with that?
I can get it. I don't have an answer for you right now, but I can.
That stinks.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I thought you said that we weren't gonna pay as much as he was charging us, but this is asking for additional funds because it's more than, I'm confused, I guess. I misunderstood.
The project itself was budgeted for 100,000. We're running in about
90, is it?
it's below 90,000. And the contractor, Darrell did what he was supposed to do, issued a PO to the concrete company that we already have a pre-bid for, and had that all set up, and the contractor showed up and called USA. So the only way to get this bill paid is for us to pay the contractor on what the rate is. But if we did a typo there, putting the exact dollar amount there, but there should be, when I calculate, it should be around a little under $15,000 savings in the total project itself. But there were several components to this project.
There was.
I appreciate that, Kim, but I'm looking in October 27, we awarded concrete pumping and finishing for a not-to-exceed cost of $23.3. Yeah, that's less than budget. That's irrelevant. It was $23.3. And then it comes back, and if I look at the current budget at $26.5, budget impact funding source, $26,500. So, let's come back and increase it by $3,200 to equal $26,500.
Unauthorized by us to spend more money? I'm trying to.
I think maybe the problem is your budget really wasn't 26.5, in your own defense.
Yes.
That's where the rub comes.
Yeah, and it was y'all have multiple agendas. You approved another contractor to build the roof, this guy was to actually just do the foundation. And so.
And we told him we were gonna you need to do it for this price, right?
Yes.
And then he came back with a bill for more money because he didn't follow the right process?
That's right.
Correct.
And now he wants us to pay him because he didn't follow the right process?
We're not paying him,
We're paying what we originally were gonna pay the concrete.
His concrete price was higher.
His concrete price was higher.
Yeah, we're receiving a bill from USA Concrete, which we issued our PO to somewhere else. And, they're not on a bid. We were going with who we bid. Our prices are lower. And so the contractor, we've told the USA, that contractor ordered that. And now the contractor is sending us a bill for the concrete.
But we're not paying for the amount, so the contractor could be on the hook for the difference.
Yeah,
Yes.
That's what I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're not paying any more than what our bid
Okay.
amount is.
Oh, that's good.
The contractor could be on the hook for the difference. But
That's
Yeah, I just want to make sure we weren't paying more because the contractor made an error.
No.
Contract quoted 23.3,
my guess would be that he's on the hook for the rest
but the
of it.
contractor quoted 23.3. That's what we awarded it for.
That's not,
Yeah, his quote did not include concrete.
Oh.
Okay.
Gotcha.
You see.
We added
didn't
the
The
include
city was
concrete.
gonna
32 is what we did because we were going to do that on our own.
Understood.
And we
Okay.
already have a concrete bid, so then that usually is cheaper for us to go with what we already have bid versus a contractor adding it into having a markup on it.
He's eating the difference because
That's
he
right.
overpaid.
Yeah,
That's right.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you for clarifying
Thanks.
that.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah,
the
just
way
make
we
sure.
had it, sorry.
All right. Anything else?
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Darrell.
Anybody else? All right, let's take a quick 5-minute break, and then we'll come back and get started with our council meeting. All right, everybody, we're about to get started. Good evening. Thank you for coming to the February 9th City Council meeting. We're going to start our evening by the prayer led by Pastor Phil Quarles with the Redeemer Lutheran Church, followed by the pledge.
We pray. Holy God, according to your wisdom, you established civic leaders of this age for a time. Lord God, we thank you for our elected leaders and the work they accomplish for the well-being of this community. Remember our president, our governor, our mayor, our councilors, and all those you have placed in authority that they might fulfill their duties with wisdom and care. Give all citizens the grace to value the officers and magistrates of our government as those sent by you. Instill in us that respect and honor that is due them. Lord, endow our leaders with wisdom for their many duties, with a spirit of sacrifice for the common welfare, with mercy and justice, with uprightness and kindliness. Grant that our civic government may prevail in safeguarding peace and prosperity so that all may live soberly and uprightly in your kingdom. Guide us to serve each other in love. Make our homes places of blessing and peace where your word is spoken. All these things we pray, O Lord, in confidence of your mercy through Christ our Lord, who lives and reigns with you in the Holy Spirit, one God, now and forever. Amen.
Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor. Appreciate that. All right, council, before we get too far into the meeting tonight, we do have an add-on, item 25. It's already on the printed agenda, but it was not in the published agenda. All right,
Second.
we've got a motion and a second. Any conversation on that? All right, all those in favor of the addition, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you for that update. First item is the approval of the minutes of the January 26th regular city council meeting and the minutes of the January 26th work session. All right, we've got a motion and a second. Any comments, additions, deletions? All right. All in favor of the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Mayor, your report.
Thank you. I just want to, of course, thank all the, everybody who came out this weekend for Mardi Gras. Such a great weekend in downtown, a beautiful day on Saturday. And whether it's you're part of the Mystic Societies or a volunteer with the Haven or Shannon Smart, who organizes the MMOR parade, all those folks make these events possible, all the volunteers that put those together. And it's just such a great weekend in town. Looking forward to this upcoming weekend when the MOJs roll and the OOMs roll. And we'll also be hosting the South Alabama Public Power Association meeting here in Fairhope at the Grand Hotel. They always come into town. They've been doing it for years. They'll come into town, come to the library, able to watch the parade. So it's a chance for us to host folks from all over the state and into Fairhope for Mardi Gras. So that's always an exciting time. And with that, I'm going to yield my time tonight to the police chief so she can talk about some promotions. Thank you.
Good evening, Chief.
Here comes the chief.
Thank y'all. Mayor, council, thank y'all for allowing us an opportunity to come up here and just share some things that are going on in the department. We just made some promotions. As you know, we've had some retirements, got some retirements coming up. Sad to see, but it is what it is. It happens. So tonight, I have the privilege of recognizing 5 officers whose promotions reflect their dedication, professionalism, and unwavering commitment to serving the city of Fairhope. So promotions within the police department are never automatic. Each of these officers has demonstrated leadership, accountability, and a consistent standard of excellence that exceeds daily expectations. So I'm going to recognize 2 officers that were promoted to corporal. And guys, as I call your names, if you would, just come to the front and stand up here. The first is Corporal Charles Spiegel. Don't be shy. Corporal Spiegel has served with the police department for 8 years. He began his career in the Corrections Division before transitioning to the Patrol Division. He is a member of the Special Response Team and serves as a firearms instructor for the department. Corporal Spiegel has demonstrated strong initiative, sound judgment, and the ability to lead by example. In his new role, he will assume additional supervisory responsibilities within the investigative division. Next is Corporal Brian Malines. Corporal Malines has served with the police department for 8 years. He is currently assigned to Fairhope West, where he serves and will continue to serve as the corporal over the School Resource Officer Unit. Corporal Malines has consistently demonstrated professionalism, reliability, and a strong commitment to teamwork. This promotion reflects his readiness to step into a leadership role and support both officers and supervisors in daily operations. All right, we're going to move and recognize those that have been promoted to sergeant. First is Bunky Bishop. Sergeant Bishop has served the city of Fairhope for 23 years. His experience includes assignments in dispatch, corrections, patrol, investigations, and the School Resource Officer Unit. Sergeant Bishop will continue to serve in the SRO unit in his new role. He has earned this promotion through consistent leadership, integrity, and a strong commitment to both the department and the community. His professionalism and fairness are essential qualities at the supervisory level. Thank you. Next is Ward Faust. Sergeant Faust has served the city of Fairhope for 13 years, with experience in both patrol and investigations. He is also a certified investigator and a member of the department's peer support team. Sergeant Faust will serve as the investigative sergeant. He has proven to be a dependable leader with strong organizational skills and will play a critical role in advancing departmental goals and ensuring effective service delivery to our residents. Thank you. And last but not least, Sergeant Brett Dahlman. Sergeant Dahlman has served with the Fairhope Police Department for 11 years. He has faithfully served in the Patrol Division as a corporal and now assumes his new role as sergeant. In this position, he will take on increased responsibility for personnel supervision, operational oversight, and mentoring the next generation of leaders within the department. Thank you. So on behalf of the Fairhope Police Department, I congratulate each of these officers on their well-earned promotions. Their advancement strengthens our organization and reinforces our commitment to professional, effective, and community-focused policing. Again, thank you, Mayor and Council, for your continued support in our department and the men and women who proudly serve our city every day. I do have one more thing I need to do before we finish. Fertilizer.
Congratulations, guys.
Congratulations, gentlemen.
Congratulations.
Thanks for
So
all you do.
proud.
Well
Yeah.
deserved.
Way to go. Yeah. Chief, do you just hire good-looking men? Is that what it is?
I can't answer that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I thought he had it on him. But
He's got it.
Sergeant Shane Lizer is here tonight. Everybody knows he just retired. I think last day was the 26th of January. Oh, okay, all right, the 1st then. As part of our policies, anyone that retires with at least 10 years and in good standing gets to keep their duty weapon as well as their badge,
Oh.
their wallet badge. So we're here tonight to present Shane with his gun and his badge.
service.
Since you're officially retired, you're good? Okay.
Give him the mic.
Thank y'all very much for your time.
Thank you. Congratulations. I'll give them a few minutes to clear out. Mayor, was that it for your report? Okay. Glad that we always take time to do that and honor them, celebrate those accomplishments. The next item on the agenda is public participation for agenda items only. So this would cover items 5 through 25, which is the additional add-on. But if you have any wish to address items 5 through 25, step up to the mic. You have 3 minutes. Just to give City Clerk your name and address. Floor is open. All right. Seeing no one, we will close the floor. There will be another opportunity for public participation at the end of the evening on any agenda item you wish, or any item you wish. Doesn't have to be agenda. Council comments. Councilman Burrell.
Yeah, I just think we had a great kickoff to the Mardi Gras season. The weather was perfect, and the dog parade was great, the big numbers, and I think the parade that Saturday night was, I hear, 70,000, Mayor?
I don't even know how you guesstimate how many people.
70, let's go with the 280 then. It was quite a crowd out there. But anyway, I thought that the city staff performed marvelously as usual for that, so that was a lot of fun, and hopefully we brought in a lot of tax dollars. I thought that we had an excellent work session tonight, Council President. I thought that was a lot of good discussion on things. I will say that I do have concerns over the sewer treatment plan and what we're spending, and it wasn't lost on me that they said 70% of the cost is redundancy, but when I asked how many days the plant had been shut down due to lack of redundancy, the answer was 0. And that was kind of telling. So I, have just, in my mind, haven't spoken to any of you about that. I may have mentioned it to the mayor once a while ago, is that I don't know that we don't need a committee of volunteers to, of experts to maybe advise us on that a little bit, and that's not an affront to the staff. I think staff's very busy, but either that or even, before we spend $40 million, spend some money on a second opinion. I'm not trying to insult the people that are engineering that, but, and as an engineer, we get second-guessed all the time. People pay for second opinions. You don't have surgery without a second opinion, and nobody should be offended that we get a second opinion. Just my 2 cents worth on that. That's it.
Thank you. Councilman Gammon.
Good evening. Yeah, great kickoff, great weather. Hope we continue with that good weather. Hope it stays through arts and crafts. We could definitely use that. And thank you to the city staff and everyone that worked to keep that well. I was walking the streets a little bit later than I normally am, but it was mighty clean. You couldn't tell those 70,000 people with 150,000 beads were thrown out. So great job, everyone. Yeah, I'm just echoing Councilman Burrell's comments. I have similar pause on the spending, making sure we get a second opinion. I get a second opinion on a car, so that's a heck of a lot less than $40 million. So definitely lots of the stuff to talk through, but great comments and great questions asked by everybody. Beyond that, nothing new from the work session.
Councilman Robinson. All right. I'll add some comments and then give Councilwoman Booth a time. I would just say fantastic Mardi Gras kickoff. Amazed at what a great turnout we're starting to get for the dog parade too. I mean, that's getting bigger and bigger. So all of it went off without a hitch. KOER did a great job. The weather was fantastic. You couldn't have asked for better. That is all I have. Councilwoman Booth, any comments?
I'm good.
Okay. All
I'm
right.
really proud of our police officers. They're very excited out there.
Oh, they should be. All right, well, moving on into the meat of the agenda, we have item number 5 is an ordinance to amend ordinance number 1233, known as the City of Fairhope Business License Code, Chapter 8, Section 22, License Classifications. Would someone like to introduce the ordinance?
I'll second it.
All right. Ordinance is introduced, and, yes, ma'am?
It's
Go right ahead, Jennifer.
just another housekeeping ordinance to add current NAICS codes to our classifications and the schedules that go along with them. These businesses are already being licensed this way at the current schedule. I'm just increasing the detail that I'm able to class them as.
Tracking them.
There is one deletion because it's no longer in the NAICS codes anymore, and that's for
Boarding
the
house?
dentist.
Did you
Yeah, I was gonna say boarding house. Yeah, you lay on there.
Right, there's some,
Livery stable?
yeah, it hasn't been updated since 2006, so there's a lot of work to do.
And we've already covered this in the work session, so this will lay over till the next council meeting. But any questions for Jennifer?
Thanks for that tedious work.
All right, thank you very much. All right, ordinance, item number 6 is an ordinance to amend ordinance number 1666, the bylaws of the Fairhope Public Schools Commission, specifically section 2-113, meetings. The location will be posted by the city clerk 7 days prior to meeting date. And would someone like to introduce this ordinance?
I'll introduce the ordinance.
Thank you, Councilman.
Second.
You don't need to second.
Yeah.
Second it?
I'm sorry. I was going to tell Joshua.
Yeah,
But
didn't mention
Sorry.
it the first time. When introducing, we don't
Showing
have
our
to do
green.
that. But we got them each on this one, so that was good. Council, just a little background on this. Really, just a housekeeping thing here too, where the location sometimes changes, and they weren't having that notification early enough. So that's all we're doing is making them aware that that's got to be posted 7 days in advance, because sometimes it's at Nick Center and they rotate it around the different schools. So just making sure that, being a public meeting, that they follow proper procedures.
Gotcha.
there's no urgency. You don't have a meeting coming up.
We just had one the other day, so
Okay.
we're fine. Item number 7 is an ordinance to establish the Fairhope demolition review procedure for historically significant buildings. Would someone like to introduce the ordinance?
I'll introduce it.
Thank you, sir. Eric?
Yes, Mayor, Council, thank you. As I mentioned in the work session, we've discussed this at a couple of different work sessions. I think the time frame was one of the main questions. So, the way that we wound up with it is if the application for a demolition comes in 10 days prior to the meeting, which is going to be the second Wednesday of the month, then it will be heard at that meeting. If they miss the 10-day window prior to the meeting, then they will hold over to the next meeting. So that keeps it within, I think, a 45-day was what we were talking about. It had to be heard within 45 days. They either catch the first meeting within 10 days or they wait the additional 30 days. Then afterwards, 5 days after the meeting, the commission will notify the building department. And then 15 days after that notification, the permit will be issued. So that is the time frame that wound up being decided upon. I know we had a lot of discussions. I know that our legal counsel has looked at it. The commission's looked at it. And to my knowledge, I believe everybody's in agreement with that time frame versus what was originally proposed.
And Eric, I had a citizen come up between the work session and now, and there's no further action. It does not come back before the city council, right? It's just there's the education, and then they can choose to demolish if they so choose, or they can choose not to.
This is strictly an opportunity for the commission to be able to educate a potential owner on ways that they may be able to rehab or save a structure if they so choose. They can make them aware of it, but ultimately the decision whether or not to keep that structure lies with the property owner. They have the ultimate decision to do what they want to with their property.
So the time length, if I'm looking at this from a shortest turnaround to kind of a max, would be, assuming they get in front of the commission, is 30 days to, say, 65 days.
Yeah, that's
about
roughly.
your
That is correct. Yes, sir.
turnaround time. And no, They're still able to move forward with the demolition if they so choose.
They are. The other provision, though, that was added was that there's a required in-person meeting with the property owner. I know that we had discussed possible agents or representatives, but it was listed in there that it has to be with the property owner. If the property owner is unavailable, if they're from out of state or they're unavailable to come after the first meeting, there is a provision in here where an online meeting or a Teams meeting can be conducted with that property owner and 2 members of the commission. So they have the opportunity to at least speak in person with at least 2 members of the commission if they're unable to come to Fairhope to attend the monthly historic preservation meeting.
Any questions for Eric on this? Any further discussion?
No, I think we've covered it,
I
like you
think so,
said.
too.
I think so.
Yeah,
All right.
I think everybody's happy with it.
All right, well, this will, not everybody.
Ish, yeah.
Something, yeah. All right, this will lay over till the next council meeting. Thank you, sir. Item number 8 is an ordinance to annex the property of Heath Clayton Pittman, Mary Emma Pittman, and Fairhope Single Tax Corporation located at 9338 Gayfer Road Extension, Fairhope, Alabama. And Hunter, yes, sir. Would
Yes,
someone
sir.
like to introduce this ordinance? Thank you, Councilman.
So this is a straight annexation. It's to build one house. It's R1 is being requested as the default. And it's kind of weird, if you see your exhibit, there's a little strip across the road that was used to catch, one of those lassos that was used to catch a neighborhood to the north. And the ordinance you passed to get any new water customer has to annex. So this was, we've reviewed the requested zoning and agree with that.
Any questions for Hunter?
What size lot is this?
The exact acreage is not on my agenda. I think it's in your packet.
1.85 acres according to this
Yeah.
form on here.
And it's one home.
One home.
Music to my ears.
The zoning would allow, never say never, what might happen in 40 years, but right now, their intent is to build one home.
Yeah. It's already being built.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
It's right by where I live, as I see it. Oh, nice house.
okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, item number 9 is a resolution that the City Council of the City of Fairhope, Alabama hereby authorizes Mayor Sherry Sullivan to execute the attached agreement for the cooperative maintenance of public right-of-way with Lex Terry, owner, said document setting forth the terms and conditions under which private driveway access infrastructure within the public right-of-way will be constructed, maintained, and repaired. Richard covered this in the work session. It's a unopened right-of-way. We would be granting them access. They would build their driveway, and then they would continue to maintain that.
Council President, can I back up just a little bit? On item 8, was that ordinance introduced?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Was it? Okay, I missed that. I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you for clarification. Go ahead. Sorry.
All right. Any questions for Richard? Any questions or comments? Or y'all recall this one? This is the unopened right-of-way for the driveway.
I make a motion, they're authorized the mayor to execute the attached agreement.
I'll
All right.
second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Item number 10 is a resolution that the city council approves the selection of SafeSpan LLC to perform professional consulting services for the biannual bridge inspections and authorizes Mayor Sherry Sullivan to execute a contract with a not-to-exceed fee of $10,900. And Richard.
I move to approve the selection.
Got a motion? Second. And a second. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion passes. Item number 11 is a resolution to award a bid to Mendoza's Barrier Fence LLC for a new 6-foot fence, 6-foot privacy landfill boundary fence with the bid proposal not to exceed $97,630. That's for 5,500 linear feet of fencing at the landfill.
So moved.
Got a motion?
Second.
And 2 seconds. Any further discussion?
Just something funny on this. This morning on the radio, Lori said, that sure is a lot of money for a fence. I said, it's over a mile long, and she goes, oh.
Yeah,
should have
puts it
seen
in
the other bids.
perspective, doesn't it? The distance. All right, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Item number 12 is a resolution that the City of Fairhope approves the award for the request of quotes for labor and materials for the new pavilion at the Barnwell Sports Complex project to Gulf Construction Company LLC for a not-to-exceed project cost of $84,220.70. This is a public works project, will be less than $100,000 and therefore does not need to be formally bid out. Authorize the treasurer to transfer $9,221 of the fiscal year 26 budget from project 2026 Rec 100 Barnwell Youth Football Improvements to project number 2026 Rec 180 within Recreation Capital Improvements account. And as Richard mentioned, does not have to be let out for bid. However, when they get a larger project pushing that $100,000, they do get formal quotes. So had several on this. Any
How much do you think to
questions
paint
for
it?
Richard?
What exactly is the pavilion going to contain? Is it concession stand? Is it bathrooms? Is it just a sunshade? I don't see anything in there.
This is a 26 by 60 wood pavilion with just a slab underneath it, but it does on one end have two enclosed storage rooms that are 10 by 10. So he can securely store equipment and material to support the park. But it's an open air pavilion. Think of what we have down at North Beach, picnic tables under it, that type of thing.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you, sir.
Is there any painting or anything, any finishing that, I saw it said the city's gonna be responsible for it, but we're not painting that, right? No.
It is all.
It is as it is.
And we're leaving it all
Perfect.
natural.
Great. Thank you.
Any additional questions for Richard? Would like to make a motion?
I will make
All right, we've got a motion to
I
approve.
will second that,
and a
only the first
second.
time.
All right, any further discussion? Okay, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Item number 13 is a resolution that the city council reject all bids for the installation of 12 new lift station bypass pumps and authorize the rebid of the project under the Code of Alabama, 1975, Section 4116-57. And it sounds like Daryl's going to be getting with the rest of the team on maybe trying to value engineer how you put that out to bid to see if there's a cost savings to be found in there. And maybe Noel's even found a few companies that didn't bid that would be willing to bid. So that was basically just because the price came in triple what we had anticipated.
I move to reject all bids.
All right, we got a motion to
I'll second
reject
it.
all bids. Is that a second?
It was,
All
yeah.
right, and a second. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Item number 14 is a resolution that Mayor Sherry Sullivan is hereby authorized to execute change order number 1 for concrete work at the wastewater treatment plant for the belt press with a cost of $3,200 and to award change order number 1 to professional concrete pumping and finishing. The new total project cost will be $26,500. This is a public works project, will be less than $100,000 and therefore does not need to be formally bid out, but done as a request for quotes. And council, that discrepancy in that $3,200 in the project cost is because we were intending to pay this outside of the project ourselves. The contractor ordered their own concrete. We're paying for it the same price we would have paid, but we're having to add it to the contract since we're going through them. So that's, I think that clears that up.
Yes, thank you.
We got to it. Clear as
I'll make a
mud, right?
motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
All right, you got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Item number 15 is a resolution that Mayor Sherry Sullivan is hereby authorized to execute contract extension number 1 of Preventative Maintenance Program Annual Contract for Wastewater Treatment Plant VT SCADA System with Automatic Control Service LLC. Per the terms and conditions of the original contract, Automation Control Service LLC is the only area company able to supply this service and respond in person within 2 hours for emergencies. The annual cost is $22,800 plus materials as needed for repairs.
Make a motion to approve.
Got a motion
Second.
and a second. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Item 16 is a resolution that the city council approves and adopts the recommendations for the wastewater, or for the water department, restructuring and reclassification as follows: to reclassify one water service technician grade 6 to a water service technician crew leader grade 7.
So moved.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Just want to say it's budgeted.
This budget item, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? All right, motion passes. Item 17 is a resolution that the city of Fairhope approves the assignment from Survey Field Services, Inc. to Stordy Quality Services, LLC for bid number 26-011 for natural gas distribution system leak detection survey for the gas department, and authorizes Mayor Sherry Sullivan to execute the assignment. And Wes covered this. All this is, the company changed their name, and we're trying to dot our i's, cross our t's with our contract.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Item number 18 is a resolution that the city of Fairhope approves the procurement of 3 Position Eagle line dispatch furniture that is on HGAC by contract ECO 723 with Zybex Systems, Inc., and therefore does not have to be let out for bid. Additionally, that the assembly and installation of the consoles will be done by Zybex Systems, Inc. as a sole source installer, and authorizes procurement based on the option allowed by the Code of Alabama 1975. The total amount not to exceed $132,187.50 payable to Motorola Solutions as distributor of Zybex Systems.
Make a motion to approve.
Got a motion
A second.
and a second. Any further discussion?
Heck of a table.
A lot of them.
I was thinking the same thing. All right, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. All right, motion passes. Item number 19 is a resolution that the city of Fairhope has voted to approve the procurement of the relocation of 3 dispatch radio consoles for the police department from Communications Engineering Services, Inc., doing business as CES Team, One Communications, and authorizes procurement based on the option allowed by the Code of Alabama for contractual services and purchases related to or having an impact upon security plans, procedures, assessments, measures, or systems, or the security or safety of persons, structures, facilities, or infrastructures. The cost will not exceed $5,625.
So moved.
All right, got a motion
Second.
and a second. Any questions for Chief? All right, hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Item number 20 is a resolution that the city council approves the addition of a seasonal school resource officer position for the Fairhope Police Department. This position would allow the department to retain experienced, fully trained SROs in our Fairhope schools, preventing the need to reassign active duty officers. According to the 2024 Code of Alabama, any individual who is retired under the Employees Retirement System, holds the required Alabama Peace Officer standards and training certification, and previously served as a law enforcement officer may perform duties as a school resource officer without suspension of retirement benefits, provided their compensation does not exceed $52,000 per year.
I like that. That's a good one.
We've got a motion to approve and a second. Any questions for Chief? All right. Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Chief, those were 3 really wordy resolutions I have to go in a row. Getting tongue-tied there by the end, or at least cross-eyed. Item number 21 is a resolution that the City of Fairhope Council authorizes the treasurer to issue a check in the amount of $32,561 to the Fairhope Volunteer Fire Department, and if an additional deductible is collected by the insurance company, another $2,500 would be issued for the totaled vehicle. And as Chief said, or as Kim said, this is basically purchased by the volunteer fire department, and then they transfer it to us for getting a tag, a municipal tag, and so we're just giving them the money to reimburse them since the insurance paid us.
Yes.
Want to make a motion or any questions?
I'll make a motion.
All right, we've got a motion
Second?
and a second. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Item number 22 is a request that the Fairhope Junior City Council request approval of the City of Fairhope's City Council for a pickleball tournament with proceeds going to the Fairhope Rotary Club as a donation.
Didn't we say we need to be the Fairhope Youth?
Yeah,
So I can't, yeah.
All right,
Motion to approve with the change language to say the Fairhope Youth Rotary Club, or Rotary Youth Club. Which one is it? Rotary Youth Club.
all right,
As a
which is a
donation.
501c3, perfect.
Yes, it is.
I'll second the amendment,
right,
second the amended motion.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Teams?
Jimmy and I have a better shot.
I would be good with that. Take all challengers? All right. As long as you're a beginner or below?
Never played before, I'll play any.
All right, all
I
in.
like to play because I'm not even good at it. I don't like to do things I'm not
We'll,
good
we'll
at.
take you on then. All right, all in favor of the Junior City Council pickleball tournament? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? It was sort of,
Wait, you didn't say, you
Sporadic.
didn't say.
I didn't, you're right.
This is like a Simon Says,
Yes.
trick.
Okay, item number 23
Long work
is a
session.
request of Radonna Mosley, Executive Director of the Fairhope Educational Enrichment Foundation, requesting non-exclusive access to the pier and adjacent parks and beaches, both north and south of the pier, and the waiver of parking fees during the event and awards in exchange for the City of Fairhope being a title sponsor on Saturday, June 13th, 2026, from sunrise and end at 2 p.m.
And it's hooked on Fairhope, and there's a lot of community who are involved in doing this, and it will benefit FEEF, Big Brother, Big Sister, and it's supported by Mobile Baykeeper. The goal of the event is to have Big Brother, Big Sister represented, and their volunteers, and then FEEF will be there to provide how to throw a cast net. So the goal is to have a minimal entry fee, and for every kid to walk away with a fishing rod, and so for them to start learning how to fish and to really use Mobile Bay. And it's kind of like the JC fishing tournament over in Mobile is the goal.
That's a great idea.
I'm supposed to be helping with that, by the way.
Oh, great.
Yeah, yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, it's going to be a great event.
It'll be fun.
Any questions?
Yeah, any questions for Donna? That's the first I've heard of this new event, so that sounds
Yeah, tell us a little
exciting.
bit about it more.
Well, we're still planning.
Okay, so we're going to have a lot of
But it's gonna be
young youth.
Yes, Hooked
come
on
in.
Fairhope is the title of it. I have a map
That's
of
cute.
what we're
You've
going
already
to have.
gotten all the fishing poles, I heard.
Yes, they.
Already bought the rods. Y'all are just ready to get some bait,
Yep.
pull it together,
So-
and you're going to be with the Blind Tiger on this.
Yeah, the Blind Tiger, and then there's 2 or 3 other companies who are real involved. I have been working on FEEF Golf, so I have not been able to attend many fishing meetings, but I was nominated to come to this tonight.
Okay, well, that's good.
That's what happens when you miss the meeting, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
Voluntold,
very
right.
much.
Well, Sherry and I will come help.
Great. We'd love to have all of y'all there, but we thought it'd be a great thing. Should be nice and hot.
I have 3 grandsons, so I'm excited about it.
Okay.
Well, any additional questions for Radonna on this one?
No, thank you, Donna.
Want to make a motion?
Looking forward to it.
All right, we've got a motion
Second.
and a second. All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Thank you. Item number 24 of the Fairhope Public Schools Commission is appointments and reappointment. And the appointments are for Scott Frazier, Chad LaGrone, and then Kerry Mackey being reappointed for a second term. And all of those terms would begin backdated January 1st, 2026, and end December 31st of 2028.
Just say began or will begin. what it says, which will begin.
They did
Will
actually,
have-
all
Oh,
three
that's
of them, Carrie Mackey has served one term. She's going to serve another term. But the other two did come to this past meeting. They were at this past meeting.
He's just saying the writing
The writing.
and
Will
and
begin,
the,
Which began, right? Because we're retroactively.
yeah.
Yeah.
it says will begin.
Lawyer, help me out here.
All right.
And were there any other, I know this was a reappointment, but were there any other applications to the Public School Commission? Do you know, Lisa? Okay, they pick it up. Thank you.
Jimmy, was there anything, any items voted on at this that they voted, that these two people that are being voted on retroactively may have voted on?
I don't think so. I don't think they,
Informational?
voted on anything. Mostly informational meeting.
Okay. Move to approve the appointments and reappointment.
All right. We got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Item number 25 is an add-on, and this is a resolution that the city council hereby authorize Mayor Sherry Sullivan to execute a settlement and tender agreement with American Contractors Indemnity Company Surety that will settle the claim with J. Payne Organization, the contractor, involving bid 24-053-2024-PWI-010 on the John Martin Nature Center Building Project. And this was being walked on just to kind of expedite the process. We've got agreement in place, and we're ready to move forward and punch that project out. So,
I have one question, Council
Sir.
President. Richard, the additional project funding of 39,510 to cover an unexecuted change order, can you explain that? If it's an unexecuted change order,
Well, that's kind of, and as I'm alluded to during the work session, is that there was a change order requested by the contractor who's no longer with us that was never qualified or quantified, and we are still arguing. There is some legitimate, like, for example, the project anticipated a certain percentage of roof decking that had to be replaced, and when they got the old roof off, there was a greater amount of decking that had to be replaced. That's not an arguable item that would have to come back for y'all. The problem was that there were several items that we disagree with. I met with Rebecca today to go back into that. And the funny thing is, the number that the surety has as a placeholder for that is actually less than what the contractor was claiming back in the day. So we're still trying to get that. So that's why I just put that placeholder as a not to exceed.
so that work will be done.
Yes, but we have to.
It will ultimately be executed.
Yeah, but we are still arguing there are some claims of work that we believe was in the initial scope and that we wouldn't pay a change for that. So, but now it's hard to argue with somebody who's not present. That's the challenge we're in. So, but we wanted to cover all bases so that we could get a new contractor back in there and get this going. So, thank you.
any further questions for Richard? Discussion? Someone like to make a motion? We got a motion?
Second.
And a second. All right, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. And item number 26 is public participation. At this time, you can address the council on any item, just come forward, and you have 3 minutes. Just give the clerk your name and address.
I didn't realize it was going to be on a countdown clock, so if you don't mind, I'm going to read. I am Jimmy Prestwood, and my wife Pam and I live at 54 Fairhope Avenue. Mayor and council, why are we here tonight? Our house is impacted by the proposed zoning changes introduced to this council last October, whereby residential use is being deleted from zoning classes B3A and B3B. What this means to us and any other single-family residences is that when the changes go into effect, we, as well as any future owners of our houses, will be considered non-conforming and will not be able to allowed to make additions or substantial renovations to our homes. My home was built in 1927. My next-door neighbor's in 1926, historical homes. Pam and I have made a significant investment in our home and worked hard to maintain its historical look from Fairhope Avenue. While we do not anticipate any changes in the near future, this proposal takes that right away from us unless we go through a lengthy and probably expensive variance process, which may or may not be successful. We also believe it will negatively affect our property value since any future owner will be bound by the same restrictions. Roughly, the zones go down Fairhope Avenue from Summit Street to the pier, then left on South Mobile Street to Fells, part of Cliff Drive, Short Street, and Freedom Street are also impacted. It also includes a section of Magnolia from Church to Summit and a small section of Church Street. I would guess there are about 50 single-family homes which are affected by the zoning change. Yesterday, Pam and I knocked on all 50 doors, and we left flyers with those that didn't come to the, when nobody came to the door. The few people that came to the door, and there weren't a lot of people home Super Bowl Sunday, I guess, no one knew anything about this. And all were just stunned that this right could be taken away. I am by no means a zoning expert, as the regulations are very complex and meant to protect our city from unwanted development. I very much realize that. However, it appears to me that this can be fixed by just not deleting single-family homes in classifications B3A and B3B. There are numerous changes in the proposal affecting other zoning classifications that are meant to maintain our city as the jewel on the bay, but this change to B3A and B3B doesn't seem to do anything but penalize existing and future single-family homeowners. It is my understanding that this proposal will be heard again at the next City Council meeting on February the 19th. But we will be out of town and able to attend, and that is why we felt it's so important to be here tonight and voice our concerns. Thank you for your attention and your consideration.
Thank you, well done. Getting
Good
under
job
three.
keeping it at 3 minutes.
Hunter, do you want to address
Yeah.
that all? Because we have had some conversations specifically about that issue.
Yes, and I think y'all have all received individually a few other emails today, and I'm
Yes,
getting
sir.
a lot of those today. Really did nothing today but tried to respond to some of those. So I just want to say publicly, we will happily answer those, and I'll be prepared to discuss that specific issue a little bit more on the 19th. What we did to address the issue, the single family will not affect any current homeowners until January 2027. That's in the ordinance that we're proposing back to you and have advertised. Now, this has kind of been a long ongoing conversation that I'll kind of back up and explain a little bit. There are some non-conforming buildings out there. I know Mr. Peyton Rogers has been speaking. Was it Mr. Prestwood? Thank you. My memory faded right there for a second. For a few days, and they were looking, and there are non-conforming issues on the house right now with the current zoning. So I don't think any setback is met. But like you said, the house has been there since the 20s. It doesn't meet our current zoning ordinance. So one of the things we wanted to be able to accomplish there, B3A and B3B has single-family homes that are a little unique than the rest of town. Number one, they're allowed to use as short-term rentals. There's some historic homes in that area. And our intent was to come back with some lodging uses in that B3A, B3B that allows for the lodging uses that they're for, but also separates those from a single-family residential home as defined in other parts of the city. So that would be a part 2, as we discussed on zoning amendments. We fully intend to do that before the January 27th. The end result of that, like many of the other cities around town, it may be called something else from a zoning standpoint. It may be a tourist home. But the effects would be someone that wants to live there and use that as their home could do that completely legal and have all the uses that they're entitled to today, all the same setbacks, no effectual change to that. But some of the lodging uses required, I mean, you've heard the NICE codes that were being included. There's been some, that's kind of rewriting some of the other sections of the ordinance. I know we were looking at some density in some of the lodging uses, not the single-family homes, but some of the uses, kind of thinking about the density there is how many can it sleep as opposed to number of bedrooms. So there's some mechanics in this segment of the zoning ordinance that will allow us to build on that. We can also establish that different term. We can create, it gives us more flexibility to say, maybe we do need a variance. instead of creating a precedent for one you're doing for every single-family home and trying to treat one thing that's not quite apples to oranges, it gives us that separation and say, okay, we can do this. I'll be the first to say, if we can't get to that solution by January 27th, we probably need to just put the single family back in. I think we can get to that. We've talked along about some of those solutions.
Because that wouldn't comfort me very well with language of 2027. If I was that person. And you probably wouldn't want me suggesting, well, we're going to change your zoning from tourist resort to R1, because that would also devalue your home if you couldn't provide short-term rentals, which you're now allowed to. So I think we need some work on that. And I don't know if you can write a variance into that code of ordinances or come up with another, just a completely different zoning designation. Of course, the homeowner would have to agree to be rezoned that, but didn't take away any right from you that currently exists.
And I think that's what we need to build on. I mean, we've advertised this one, so if we change something at what's proposed the 19th, we got to go back out for 2.5 months. If that's, I'm not opposed to that, but the ordinance, what we've done is the ordinance itself does not have any change affected to those existing owners. And that was never our intent. That was very valid concerns that we heard back from when we presented this to you in October. So changing those is very much a goal to get there. We've got a little bit of work to do on defining those uses. It would be a new use. It would actually be a new use category. Right now, we only have dwelling, commercial, and industrial, so it would be a separate lodging use. But the effect for a property owner would be that chose to live there, it would be no different. They wouldn't have to have new business license. They wouldn't, just if they wanted to rent it out as a short-term rental, then it becomes a commercial. So that's a little bit of the challenge on if we get to the meeting every month and there's one concern, what do we stop 2.5 months to re-advertise? Archaic advertising laws, and that's the state of Alabama, that creates these long delays so we can just make a quick change, get it back in front of you in the next meeting. That's the hurdle we're always dealing with when we hear kind of at the last minute. So,
Hunter, as currently proposed, does it prevent any renovation of single-family homes?
It would not have any effect to the existing single-family homes in those districts. There would be no effect. There were some other conversations, I think some other people
For
had
a year
concerns.
or forever?
Until January 2027.
So after 2027, they would not be able to renovate their home?
If we don't change
without
anything.
rezoning?
Well,
Without changing it.
no, there's a threshold there. People can renovate their homes.
Right.
And every property is a little different. It's hard to stand up here for every property, but for Mr. Prestwood, right now, every house sits within the setback somewhere. So right now, to renovate the home for a major renovation, an expansion of the home, let's say, would require a variance. So, would there be allowance to maintain it and do everything as is? Even after January 2027, you could still do that. Now, an expansion of that might require a variance. It does today. But you would be looking at, is it a variance for the dimensional standards, which it is today? It might be that in addition to, if we don't change anything by January 1st, it could also be a use variance.
But after that point, they could still also petition to rezone themselves? Is that
That
another option?
always
a
an option.
homeowner
That
could
is
have?
not something we want to do. We're motivated to solve this so that it is not an issue. We're trying to remove as many non-conforming uses from any change we make.
Right.
But also give some flexibility to those things that are different from your traditional single-family home that may be an R1, R2, R3. There are different uses. The neighbors for each of the properties are different. It may be a bed and breakfast next door. What's the density of those? That's kind of one of the reasons for removing the single-family out, is we didn't want to see that eroded away. I know there's been some developments discussed and some even approved where that zoning was replaced with a lot of single-family that took away rentals, that does support B3A, B3B is there to support tourism. They are a tourist resort district, so that's the goal we were shooting for.
And at the end, Hunter, what's the goal, what's the problem we're solving for? I'm just talking about not this one, but the other one as well, both ordinances, I would say, right? The one,
Well, I mean,
the one being proposed for being voted on, and then you said that we would want to do another one at the end. What's the problem that we're solving?
I think I can answer that.
There's a lot.
See if I get it right. Well, for one reason, if we use up all of our business property with residences, we have no space for business, which in the downtown, in the CBD, it's so desirable. I think everybody would build a house right in the center of town right now if you could. And so that's, am I correct in that? That's one thing
Yeah.
we're trying to avoid, residences, people living downtown is a good thing, but maybe that should be mixed use, not single-family residential.
Okay.
I think we have to preserve some of that business district as business.
Got to protect, definitely have to protect downtown.
That's more comprehensive plan based.
And we also want, and I will say, absolutely haven't had any complaints from Mr. Presswood, but we do have some people build a single-family home in a commercial area and then start the push to don't let commercial be next to me. And there's this evolution. So the tourist home kind of basically says, hey, you are this as a use.
Yep.
You may have this next to you. You don't have to use it yourself, but.
But isn't, Mr. Presswood's home is not in the CBD, correct?
No, it is in
So why could the
B3A.
CBD not just be simply excluded from the ordinance? I'm sorry, anything that's not in the CBD simply be excluded from the ordinance?
Well, I know we looked at I showed some specific examples, so just say anything B2. Do we want those being replaced with?
Right, I know it's complicated,
encounter
but I
development?
don't think anybody sitting here views his property, if y'all know where he lives, right there by Knoll Park, sorry to tell everybody that, but it's, nobody would want that to be anything other than what it is right now.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's the goal of that stretch. I think the opposite's true, that's something we wanted to create the lodging for. Because and I won't say just that area, you see some of those, especially being as close as they are to the downtown, being converted to office space, general office space, because that's currently allowed because it's commercial. What we're intending to do with the lodging is define which commercial and have a better definition of that, because it is there to provide lodging for tourism, be close to town, close to our parks, but not to be converted into just general office and taken over that way. Because that's also becomes and there's not the parking infrastructure or, things there in that block from the central business district to the park.
Yeah.
Well, I may be projecting here, but I think the long-term solution is probably getting to a place that maybe Mr. Presswood would support. It's just that 1 year expiration hanging out there without knowing we're gonna get it done or not might be the biggest hang up. And I don't wanna put words in your mouth, Mr. Presswood, but.
Part of me says, get it right the first time. Go ahead and change it, get it right the first time. The other side is, if we're gonna fix it in a year, I don't think any single-family homeowner is gonna be upset about that, as long as they get their rights back in whatever the corrective motion is. But
Yeah.
we need some kind of, we don't have any kind of guarantee that it's gonna happen.
Yeah, other
And I
than
think saying
other
this
than
in
word,
public.
which, hey, it's government. So I think that I would be worried. However, there is a sense of urgency to enact something to prevent, any application that was to come in between now and enactment would be, basically in the door. And you would be powerless to stop something that we are trying to prevent,
The title of it was, I believe, was elimination of residential use in business districts. I understand that completely, but we're kind of a quasi-business district. You go down Fairhope Avenue, you see condos, you see offices, and you see single-family residences. We don't want to take away the single-family residences. That makes Fairhope Fairhope. That mix makes Fairhope Fairhope. So that's what we're trying to make sure of.
I think we want to land where you're wanting to
I think we
land.
have the
Yeah,
same.
I agree.
Same
Yeah.
goals.
Yeah, yep,
Thank you, though.
Thank you.
Especially since you can't be here next meeting.
yeah.
And I'll be happy, I know.
You sat through part of the
Peyton
work
already-
session.
I know Peyton already has contact information, but we'll be happy, Because any of those changes we would make, in a part two, I'll call it, would have to go through the same public hearing process. We'll make sure Mr. Presswood and the neighbors he's spoken to are included in that.
I have, like I said, I handed out all those flyers, so there may be some big weird.
I think there's some of those emails were received today, so. Thank you.
Fair enough. All right, the floor is still open. Yes, ma'am.
Wasn't really prepared for this tonight. I just wanted to mention it. I'm here to speak about, in regard to B2 and the residential.
Give your name and address to the city clerk.
Cheryl Stovall. I live in Fairhope, 407 Dry Falls Way. I just found out about it. And there are a lot of other people who don't know about it, about the changes proposed for the B2 and the residential minimum square footage requirement of a lot. So if you take a lot of the existing buildings in Fairhope and downtown and you take it through that same math, you're going to end up, it's just not feasible to have anything on the second or third floor, because I'm working on a few of them right now, and it just, we're not going to be able to do it. We're not going to be able to put, unless you want a 10,000 square foot unit upstairs. So I think if you could look at that again and look at the math of it, it just doesn't work.
And we've had many people bring this up to us, many architects
Yeah.
that are working on projects have, really been in our ear about that very thing. Is that fair to say, Hunter?
Yeah.
Fair to say,
That's fair
Jim?
to say,
Yes.
for sure.
And I want to clarify, just, it's not the B2 in size of lots. There's a density quotient in there that originally, we kind of just took an average of downtown and what that unit was and proposed it in October. I think it was 1 unit for every 7,000 square feet. And this is the mixed-use unit. So mixed-use building only, upstairs could have certain number of units. And we got a lot of pushback and, things about that one. I know a lot of folks met and discussed, and we kind of realized, that was too cumbersome. We looked at the kind of average lot of downtown, a lot of quarter-acre lots, and what was kind of the appropriate scale. I think we came up with 3 units per acre, or 3 units per quarter acre. So that's 12 units an acre, more than we were proposing on the front end. So 3 residential units in a mixed-use building is what is proposed to you right now. That does not include the downstairs or the commercial component of that. That's just the number of residential units. So it's roughly, you've got to account for
Does
parking
that
and
have to
other
be
things.
10,000 square foot? Does that have to be 3,333 feet per unit?
What's the math there? Off the top of my head, it's around
3630.
3630. That's the
Right.
square foot of each unit on a quarter acre lot. You can put those in. If it was a 1-story building, if it's a 2-story building, you start. But there's also a floor area ratio that gives a lot of flexibility.
2.25.
Yeah, so it won't be the massive box.
So if you have a 10,000 square foot lot in the CBD and it's mixed use, B2,
Well, it's mixed use. Mixed use is allowed in certain districts.
right?
If it's inside the CBD, that number applies. If it's outside the CBD, it's a different number.
So it's 2 units, 2 dwelling units.
It's 3 per quarter acre. This is the math that's where that 3930 comes from.
So that would be
Yes.
2, okay.
3 units per quarter acre, 3 residential dwelling units, if you have a quarter acre. Unfortunately, we have to be pretty specific on that. So just like R1 is a 15,000 square foot lot, if somebody has 1499, you can't meet that threshold. So there may be lots out there that are 30 square feet smaller than that threshold and only get 2 units. But if it's a quarter acre, that's the way we wrote it. I don't know if.
It's like 3630, I think, is the minimum per dwelling unit. So on it, like, for example, Morphe and Section, the old building next to the, on that, if you want to put commercial on ground floor and you want to do residential on the second and third, you would only get 2 units on that lot, 2 residential units.
If
And
that's
it's a
the way the
10,000 square foot lot, yeah.
math works,
It just,
then
and so
it's a quarter
it's not
acre
feasible.
was the threshold.
So you can't do it. Not really. You can't, it's not feasible to do a 10,000 square foot residential unit on each floor.
Well, you don't
Just
have
to
to
do
build a
two.
three-story building.
No, but then the
You
landowners
actually
who own
can't
the
with a floor area
land,
ratio.
their land is worth about a third what it's worth right now.
That's not something the zoning ordinance can control.
Okay,
Sorry.
well, the ones I spoke with aren't aware of this. John Bethay wasn't, Bob Alsman wasn't, Brad Baldwin wasn't, and I haven't called the Mitchells. I don't think they are. So,
And
just
when you
wanted to
say
bring
not
that up.
feasible, in what regards?
I mean,
Like it's not financially feasible, like it's, you
Yeah,
can't
it's
support it, or
not.
you're saying it's the building that doesn't look
not
okay?
financially feasible to
Okay.
build. And so the landowners, the value of their land is being reduced to like a third.
Huh.
Yeah, something to think about. And the fact that they're not aware of it. Anyway, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Floor is still open. Sir.
Hi, I'm Eric Zubler, live at 105 Powell, and I just want to thank you for strengthening number 7 there on your agenda and helping to preserve historic buildings. As someone who lives nearly surrounded by historic homes, again, that's what makes Fairhope. Fairhope is our historic buildings, and I think we need to really work in many ways to preserve them, and that seems like a very good. I think you heard an opposite view on that tonight from my neighbor, and I just want you to know there are others of us that feel strongly to preserve is important in our community and in our town. One question, I don't know if this is the right place, are the steps from our little park in the Bluffs neighborhood going to get reopened or rebuilt? Is there a schedule or?
Yeah, they're starting, I believe, this week or next week, but they'll be going, and you'll turn it around pretty quick.
Are they gonna put wood back?
Yes.
Okay. That's been needing to be done for a while, yeah.
Just new. It is falling apart pretty bad.
I know, I run them
More
quite
dangerous, different
frequently.
heights and-
Yeah. Yeah, it will. I'm excited about that.
Oh, good. Wow. All right, good.
That was a good question.
Well, thank you. And the waterfront looks wonderful. It just, cheers.
I've been meaning to
Thank you.
ask that
Thank you.
question.
Floor is still open. If anyone else would like to speak. Johnny? All right. You look like you're about to make a move.
Yeah.
How are you this evening?
Good.
Good.
I just wanted to say, I voted for half of you guys, but I wanted to.
Two or three of us are going to wonder who that is.
I just wanted to come up here and say the rest of you guys did good for all these years. Gammon, you're filling in big shoes. That's it.
Okay.
Well, thank you,
Well,
John.
thank you, Johnny.
Thank you.
I
Very
appreciate
much.
you.
All right. Anyone else? All right. Would someone like to entertain a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Got a motion?
Second.
And a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We're done.
Have a good